This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. JList.com is such a great source for so many different types of merchandise, and that includes console video games, especially for the Switch and the PlayStation 4. They have hot new titles for the Switch, such as Persona 5 Scramble, Hatsune Miku Project Diva, Mega 39s, Japanese Rail Simulator, Azon Railway, Danmachi Infinite Combat, the Grisaya Trilogy Deluxe Package. I mean, who doesn't want to do a Japanese railroad simulator? And for the PlayStation, they have Living with Maids. I mean, come on, guys. Persona 5 The Royal Clannad in English and Japanese. And also Girls in Panzer Dream Tank Match. And literally, there's hundreds more over at jlistandjbox.com. Head over there and find yourself a pretty cool video game, and you'll be supporting the podcast. And now it's time to start the show.
You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Yo, welcome to the 515th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, where, oh my god, it's good to say this again, where we are dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. My name is Enzo, and I'm finally back, hopefully for a long time, considering the hiatus I took. But I'm not here alone. I am with my friends and my dedicated co-hosts who carried the shit out of this podcast while I was away. First up, we have the leader himself, Mitsuki. What's up?
I'm just sitting here drinking my Monster, and Ultra Rosé, still on this pink flavor. And you were gone, but I'm gonna give all the carrying credit to Mason and Mandi. They are the M's. They are the M&Ms.
The M&Ms of the podcast.
That's
Speaking
right.
of the M&Ms of the podcast, we do have Mandi in the house. What's up, girl?
Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I need everyone to know that I had a dream about this podcast the other night.
Uh-oh. Did it end?
In that dream, Mason was a very spicy boy.
Oh, I mean, how different? Are you sure it was a dream?
He was going through a very...
How do you spell dream? Nighthhtama. What? Oh no, the signs, the Ouija board.
He was refusing to participate in any discussions. It was so funny. We're like, Mason, what'd you think of the show? He said, I didn't like it. We're like, would you like to elaborate? He said, no.
Well,
damn.
It was so funny. It was such a weird dream.
All right. Well, speaking of the Spice Lord himself, we do have Mason here. What's up, man?
Listen, nobody cares. Twitch chat right now going bonkers. They're so excited to have you back, as are we. So appreciated. Rob says it took a countrywide shutdown to get you back, and you know what? Worth it.
Everything else calms down, therefore I have time again. You see how this works? Wow.
Guys,
The only thing I need to sacrifice is wiping my butt with toilet paper to bring you back on. Consider it done.
Dude, I'm so glad that I'm worth a dry butt, a dry, not white butt.
Well, in my case, it's 2 more rolls and then the thumb, baby. Let's freaking go!
You guys have to start peeing in the shower, okay?
Yeah,
Hey.
I mean, that's what... listen, I've been doing that since 92 anyway. Anyway.
No
way! We are the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, AA podcast for short. If you want to join us on the internets, you can find us at www.aapodcast.com/join. You can create an account there to become one of the many, many, many anime addicts out there that are here in this community with you guys. We, of course, have this regular podcast that comes out weekly on Thursdays on iTunes and Spotify and all the places. But we do have some bonus stuff where if you do sign up online for some dollar amounts as well, you can get our hentai episodes. There's over 140 of those. There's Hobby Addicts. There's 180 of those out there in the universe too.
Yeah, those are out of date. We're
so much more. There's over 200.
We're at 200 Hobby Addicts, 150
sabotaging my
hentais.
return.
I hit
Oh,
Enzo
so
with the
sorry.
bamboozle
You
midstream.
bamboozled me. But we also have our after parties where we just kind of hang out after recording and just talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We're also on social media, so if you want to catch us on on Twitter. We're AA Podcast on Twitter. Of course, if you're watching live, you're here on Twitch with us, which is twitch.tv/AA Podcast. If you're listening on the recording, come join us on Sundays. It's a good time. It's a good time. I can talk to you guys live. You can join our group on Facebook, which is still pretty active, facebook.com/group/AA Podcast. We do fan art Fridays on there. So if you have fan art, just send it our way so we can take a look at it. And of course, we're the heart of the podcast. That is the fifth heart of the podcast lives on Discord.
Yeah.
So if you want to join our Discord, please go to aapodcast.com. There's a link at the top of the website where you click it. It sends you there. It's free as heck. You can talk about anime. You can give us feedback. You can watch Mandi and Mason stream stuffs on Monday, like games and stuff like World of Horror. I think they were playing it recently. But we also have some other clubs on Discord too. I don't know if Mandi or Mason, you want to take the reins on that part.
Yeah, so Anime Club, our next anime will be Eccentric Family. We'll be watching the entire first season, and the discussion will be on March 25th, and you can find the show on Crunchyroll. So go watch it and come join us, because it's one of my favorites. It's also one of Mason's favorites. He won't be there, though, because hockey sucks.
I'll be there at the very end for like my.
Maybe you won't have a hockey game, though.
You know what?
'cause the plague.
Yeah,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. One of the places I play hockey at, it's like at a college rink. So if they close college, they might close the employees working at the rink. So what I'm saying is there's a chance.
There's a chance, guys.
There's a chance. And boy, do I want to talk to people about this show. I love it so
But
much.
little tanukis.
Tanukis.
Ooh. Yeah, so that's exciting. Also, you have my manga club. The manga club this Wednesday on March 18th will be a shoujo showdown. We recently did a shonen showdown. This is the shoujo version. So we'll be reading the first volume of Skip Beat, Ao Haru Ride, and Kimi ni Teroke. So read the first volume of those. You can go to our Discord, go down to the Manga Club channel, check the pin notes for any information that you need. It's at 10 p.m. EST. You're not required to talk. So if you would just like to come and listen, join us, and you just hop into the Manga Club channel. It's very laid back, so you don't have to feel pressured to have amazing views.
2-second note, RIP Anime Boston. You know, it's very fitting that the second we want to get ambitious and plan something, life is like, how about no? So obviously Anime Boston is canceled. Therefore, Mandi and I will not be attending it because it doesn't exist. So we will find something else, and either a con later in the year or something else. So stay tuned.
I'm pouring one out right now into my mouth for Go Curry in Boston.
Yeah, I'm very sad.
R.I.P.
Oh man.
Luckily, I have one in New York. Ha.
Oh.
But Mason and I do want to stream World of Horror tomorrow, so join us. We'll keep you updated. And that one is a game that is based on Junji Ito, so it's gonna be exciting.
Awesome.
If it makes you guys feel better, I had a mountain biking trip planned to Moab, Utah next week, where I was gonna descend almost 8,000 feet on a mountain bike, but I canceled that as well. So I canceled it.
Utah's not interesting enough to get corona. You're probably safe.
Like, if you're gonna risk it all, don't risk it all for Utah. You know what I mean? No offense to Utah, but like, come on, like.
Yeah, don't let corona take you out. Go out in a dramatic biking accident.
Well, I mean, it was
What a way
also
to go.
It was also because in this time of financial uncertainty, it seemed kind of foolish to frivolously spend $500 mountain biking when I live in Denver. But I was sad to have to make that decision. So.
Yeah. Do you know why I'm not sad though?
No, I have no idea.
It's because I'm hecking back, and in this episode, we're gonna cover the topic modern alternatives to difficult to find classics. We're gonna recommend some shows that are similar to older shows that you can't find anymore, and we're gonna do a review of Carole and Tuesday Watanabe's recent music installation that's on Netflix. So with that, guys, if you're ready, because I sure as heck am not, so please carry me through this episode. I think we can move on to the big news of the week. How's that sound?
Sounds big.
おー、大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Wow.
I got your back, Drops.
Can we isolate Mandy's clip and just leave?
Yes.
Well, so people are modernizing, and even Miyazaki finding ways to modernize, proving all of you haters wrong. You know, he's been smoking the same cigarette brand for 933 years. But anyway, so Miyazaki, he's been working on this new film, which he will never finish, as it is on pace to take 23 years to complete. But it's that How Do You Live? It's a CG movie, I believe. And Toshio Suzuki was like, yo, Miyazaki, bro, we need more money because this movie is taking forever. And so he talked with Miyazaki. This is just interesting because it's a little like some insight into Studio Ghibli, how they do things, modernizing with the times. Talked with Miyazaki and said, hey, in order to get this film funded, we need to do something. So the question was, how did he really convince Miyazaki to do anything? There's a whole bunch of quotes here from this article that are really good from Toshio Suzuki. He said, the film that Miyazaki is working on is going to take a long time to complete. That being the case, it's also going to cost a lot of money. I told him that we'd be able to cover the production costs with a deal with Netflix, which he said, well, then it can't be helped. Which is like, I feel like Toshio Suzuki is the only person that he would say that to, instead of like putting a cigarette out on his arm or something. You see, Miyazaki doesn't know much about video streaming services like Netflix. He went on. He doesn't use computers or smartphones.
This is the best quote.
So when I told him about digital streaming, it didn't really click for him, and I made use of that. I was like, it's like, well, he must be using computers if he's doing a CG movie, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
For pleasure. He doesn't talk to anybody.
Nope.
Right, exactly, yeah. So why Netflix? He says, I belong to the immediate post-war generation, and our generation loves new things. We love machines. Regarding Netflix, we've started reaching a point where modern streaming services can create entirely new films. I think that's interesting. At the same time, Ghibli is making a film that is completely unlike anything we've done before. We're making use of that at the same time we're opening up our films to streaming. I think that's a great thing. To people who make films, theaters and DVDs are important, but I think that streaming is important as well. So we all know Ghibli had a reputation up until recently of not having their properties on any kind of streaming services at all. And now all of a sudden they're modernizing, just like their new film that they're making. And now it's suddenly that you can watch these all in a variety of different places.
Yeah.
So it will be on Netflix. This whole article is kind of funny. It's kind of like a slap in the face, but they will be on Netflix soon. Everywhere except, wait for it, the United States, Canada, and Japan.
Yep.
And of course, I realize that there are places in the world other than the United States, Canada, and Japan, and pretty much every country has an appreciation for Ghibli. But HBO Max and G Kids will start streaming the full library in the spring of 2020. And G Kids is also doing a download to own system in the US and Canada and that already started back in December. So, have you guys seen any of these movies yet on any streaming services? Because I've run into them.
No, I haven't.
I have not seen them, but yeah. No, I haven't seen them on anything that I have.
I believe I saw them I was visiting my girlfriend's parents in Mexico a couple weekends ago, and I believe I saw them there in Mexico. So I didn't watch any of them. I actually started watching the Castlevania series, which is pretty awesome. But
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And but yeah, they were all there, all of them. Only yesterday, even like the obscure ones that people don't really know, they were all on there. So, you guys feeling good about this? Does it make you feel good?
I think it is good. I mean, the movies are old enough. It's not like they've lost any of their, renown, but to make them more accessible for the current generation is cool. It excites me to know that they're going to be kids that can get access to this really easily, which is cool to see. Maybe they grow to be the next directors of anime out there. I kind of wish it was coming to the U.S. though, being very selfish in that. But like, what the heck, man? But aside from that, good stuff. I think it's cool.
Daedalus in the chat said that since spring break, they've been marathoning the Ghibli works in chronological order. Well done. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
Good task to do.
Yeah. So, of course, I feel like the older ones are the best ones but maybe that's just because I'm old as shit. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's good. It's I like to see the studio making more money, and it's nice to get the word out there to other people. I'm always telling people at my offices, hey, you have kids? Have you heard of Castle in the Sky? Have you heard of Totoro? And they're always like, no, what is that? I'm thinking, well, Totoro is only the best movie for kids ever. Like, you want to watch your kid be transfixed in front of a TV for 2 hours, put My Neighbor Totoro on, and then I'm always like loaning out DVDs and shit to people, and now maybe I won't have to. Maybe they'll just be available and they'll be able to go home and watch them. So I think it's really cool.
It's also nice right now that's coming out in regions where they've never had access to any Studio Ghibli movie before. Now they can finally watch it in their native language.
Sure. Yeah, because
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Netflix seems notoriously great for doing a fantastic job of dubbing and making so many different languages available, which, I mean, makes sense because Netflix is a huge company and they're available in 1 billion countries. So, not literally, but yeah, at least I don't know how many countries they're available in. I would guess at least 100 by now, but okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's cool. Should we move on, guys? We have a segment. We haven't done this segment in a while.
Yes, please. Bring me there. Just do the thing.
皆さんおめでとうございます Join us in Enzo Senpai's Notice Me Corner.
Yes. Wow, it's so refreshing to hear that. But yeah, this is Enzo Senpai's Notice Me Corner, where you can write into the podcast and let me know about anything you've been working on, that you're working towards, that you've achieved, so that we can congratulate you and shout you out and shower you with love, because damn it, your effort deserves it. This one comes in from Jeremiah, and they say, I have been watching anime for about a year now thanks to my little brothers, and it has brought us and our older sister closer together. In our search for anime related content, we found this podcast, and it has made our anime addictions way worse.
Yeah.
For example, when we heard of Kids on the Slope, we binged that show in one sitting, and it was amazing. I first want to shout out one of my younger brothers for graduating high school and getting into college. I hope you make loads of friends there. Next to my older sister for getting into her first relationship in a long time. It was great to seeing her happy with somebody again. Lastly, I just graduated from college with a degree in nuclear engineering and got a job in Washington. We are from Wisconsin, and I hear they don't drink nearly as much smoke as we do, and that is kind of troubling. Love you, fam. Thank you, AAA hosts, for an amazing show that has brought us closer together, even though we are further apart. Lots of hugs and cheese, Jeremiah. I think we've read this one before, but fuck you, Jeremiah. Congratulations again, my dude, on that job in Washington. I hope you still work at that job in Washington.
I was going to say, hopefully your younger brother has graduated college by now, because it's been so long since we've been pregnant. Mitch had to dust off the MP3 file to play that draft.
Listen, I might have said this before, but I'm still sure Jeremiah is way smarter than I am. Nuclear engineering? I don't even know what that means. Lots of math, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So lots of math that I can't that my small brain can't comprehend. So congratulations.
Quick math.
But next week you'll get a new
a new one.
That was just a throwback, okay?
That's just that one's for me to get back into it. You know what I'm saying?
It's like when My Hero Academia came back. Episode 1. They got a
dude.
Seen.
This is a past events episode. You know what I'm saying? It's a filler.
Greatest hits.
Yeah.
Greatest hits. Nice.
All right. Well, now.
Oh wait. If you guys want to write into
sure.
Yeah. Go to the website aapodcast.com. Click on the mailbags and more button. There should be a drop down where you can select this segment, and so Senpai's Notice Me Corner, and you can write your message there, and we'll get it. Apparently, in the time I've been gone, there's a little bit of a log, but we'll get to it.
Listen,
we'll get to it, baby.
There's so much.
I took 6 months off.
The mailbag button on the website has so many different things you can submit. You can do Shark Tank submissions, and you can. Mason, are you ready to announce that new segment that you've been thinking about?
Sure. Yeah, we can do it now.
Why don't you go ahead?
It's made for him.
Exactly. So, Waifu Wars has been fun and it is enjoyable. I figured, let's try something new. Let's give a different flavor to things. So, I've got a new segment that I want to try called Anime Arguments. So if you've ever watched Anthony Fantano, The Needle Drop, he's like a music reviewer.
Music,
He has
music industry's busiest nerd or whatever.
yeah, exactly. He
I
has
love that guy. Yeah.
a segment called Let's Argue, and also a side one called Let's Agree, but we'll get to that later. Where he, asks for like hot takes, unpopular opinions, tough questions, and then he responds to the best one of them in a series of videos. So I figured it would be a very similar but fun topic to get your guys's your opinions on shows or openings or anything in the industry. Put them in the mailbag. There's a whole like section to select anime arguments, and then we collectively will look through them and say, oh, we agree or disagree with that take, and here is why. I think it'd be a fun way to get a little back and forth for you guys to argue with me and all my bad opinions, and I think we'll see how it goes. So we'll probably do half and half waifus arguments and see what you guys prefer, and let me know what you guys think of it. So we've already gotten some good hot takes in there when I announced it on the Discord. Make sure you pose an argument. Don't be like, my argument is that, I don't know, let's be funny and say cake is better than pie. So you made a ridiculous argument like that.
Arguable.
Yeah, sure. You could make that, but you'd make a much better case if you said, oh, and here is why XYZ. So
I know exactly who put that in there.
yeah, maybe. So there's been some good ones already. So I invite all of you guys, go to the AA podcast website, go to mailbags, and either give Enzo your Notice Me corners, questions to ask, or these new anime arguments.
Yep. I'm just gonna say right now, if you put one in that says Keijo's the best anime, we won't answer it. We're just gonna silence you.
I'll answer it.
Keijo was a mistake. No.
I'll answer it.
We refuse.
Send me all your Keijo questions. Do it.
Keijo Gate.
And in that mailbag, there's also a spot for our new segment, Living Big in Japan, where we discuss things about living in Japan, tourism in Japan, etc., which we're going to do right now.
日本のいいとこ見てみよう It's time to live big in Japan.
Holy cow, that was awesome.
I love Hunter x Hunter.
Wow. Wow, that was good.
Yeah, so this week for Living Big in Japan, I figured we'd have a long intro. So I'd do a short little, informational bit about stuff, because we've been asked this quite a numerous amount of times. People are like, hey, I'm going to Japan, I'm visiting. I have my phone, my laptop, all this stuff that needs to be charged. How do I do that? What do I need to bring? What do I need to convert? All this stuff. So essentially, for most people, nothing. So the voltage in Japan is default at 100 volts, which is different than North America, which is usually about 120, and Central Europe, which is 230 volts. And while that sounds like a big range, most electronic appliances are set to go from 100 to 240. So most things you own will be fine in Japan.
Yep.
The only biggest thing you need to know is that Japanese electrical plugs don't have the third pin. So if you look at a North American plug, it's what they call a Type A, which is just two flat pins, and you don't have the third one that grounds it.
Man, that's some fancy shit right there.
So if you have something like a laptop, that usually has a third pin, so you will need an adapter to go from 3 to 2 pins. Like I said, most equipment will work fine. The biggest exception, though, is stuff that heats. So if you have a hair dryer or like an iron for clothes, those likely will not work properly. So, make mindful of that if you're going to travel, or for example, if you're buying hair dryers and stuff in Japan to bring back home, buy ones that are made especially for overseas tourists.
Man, Mason just held up some fancy shit. I got this little crappy ghetto 3-prong adapter.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
You can literally use this thing, and it's like you can get one at like Home Depot for 8 cents or whatever. It's just that little plastic block that has the 3 on the back, and then converts it into just 2 prongs on the front. Or you could get a circular saw out and just cut that third prong off of your electrical device.
Yeah, just bend it back.
Yeah, I mean, if
that sounds dangerous.
Listen, if you were a badass like Enzo, you would just like take your hand and just bend it right off.
Yeah, and Enzo would do that.
Mandi would use her laser vision, and Mason
I have
would,
laser vision.
and Mason would just use his straight up chompers, you know.
Yeah, just bite it, looking like a snack.
But
My ferrets probably would chew it up.
Yeah.
I lack all of these skills, so I merely use this plastic block. So sorry to disappoint you guys.
No, it's fine. But essentially, I was like, well, you know what? There's actually, a lot of pin types that aren't, North American stuff. And I was looking up, and you have like Europe and South Korea have what's called the Euro plug, which I thought was just a hilarious name for something. That's called like a type C or F. That looks like these two like circular rods that go through. You have, type D, M. It goes all the way to N. There's a whole list of things.
It's too much shit.
What? If you're traveling from North America, type A or type B to Japan, which is type A, but you also want to go to any country else in the world. New Zealand uses a different thing. Denmark, Italy, Brazil, all have their own independent plugs. Instead of buying like what MITS has, a simple 3-to-2 converter, get just this magic box. You can get these. I'm holding it up to the camera. They have a whole like list of different settings, and it essentially just converts any type of plug to any other type of plug for the most part. And these cost maybe $10 to $15, and it comes with
worth it.
A bunch of charging ports on the side. So ideally, I just travel with this, and this is the best way. And no matter what country you go to, you'll pretty much be set. And like I said, it doesn't really matter on the voltage unless you're using something very specific. I also found out that the actual the frequency between East Japan and West Japan is different. It's like 60 hertz versus 50 hertz. Once again, it matters so little for most things, except with like clocks. So if you have a clock that you bring from home and you plug it in Tokyo, it'll work fine. But if you plug it in Osaka, it'll slowly dilate and be off time because of the different frequency. So that's the only thing you really need to be mindful of. But for the most part, especially if you're from North America, traveling to Japan is easy because all your default chargers will work just fine. And if you don't have a type A plug, a lot of easy ways to convert it. So that's pretty much all you need to know for converting electricity.
Yeah, I would say if you're a visitor in Japan and you're like, you're carrying like a MacBook around or something like that, I've definitely have done the Osaka to Kyoto to Tokyo sort of cut through the middle of the country several times. And if it's my recollection, pretty much every device I've ever used in Japan is just plug and play. Like you don't have to worry too much about it. If you live there, if you're moving there and you're going to bring larger appliances or, some things may not work, but like if you're just a tourist and you're just taking like, I don't even know what else you'd bring. Like a laptop is like all you'd bring probably in terms of electronics. So, or a curling iron maybe, like those things are going to work. So you don't need to worry too much about it.
Yeah, if you're walking around with a whole like scientific lab kit where you're testing like electron beam like dispersion, it might be a little more finely detailed and you've got to be careful. But for most tourists, you'll be just fine with what you have.
All right.
Wow, thanks a bunch, Mason. I actually am gonna have to buy one of those things because it looked. First of all, the little box for people that are watching looked really cool. For people that aren't watching, it looked really cool. But with that, we are now gonna move on to our break. But before the break, we're gonna answer some trivia, and the answer that's on our website, we post it every week for you guys to go check out. The answer to the question that was on this last week is Sailor Moon. And this week's winner is Corny Mystic. The month winner. Am I announcing the month winner? Yeah, right.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the month winner is Obscurity 101. Congratulations to you guys. We'll reach out.
It must be my birthday.
Yeah. The current theme is anime flowers. So if you think you got a shot with this theme, go to the website, check out the new question that will be posted soon, and then we'll give you guys the answer next week on the next podcast.
It's a little tougher. I thought it's March. Like the flowers are coming. They're coming back.
It's springtime. They blooming. They're blossoming.
Oh, that's an easy one. They can get that.
Yeah. People can do it. You listener, I believe in
Andy
you.
brain is big brain, and not everyone has big brain. But yeah, now on to our first news break. But before that, we have an in-show weekly trivia question. So let's see if you know the answer to this one. What is the anime of the song that Carole Tuesday play in the Mars Brightest quarterfinals? Think about it, contemplate it. We'll be back soon.
Hey everybody, this is Mitsugi, and I'm bringing you your anime news break. Well, the coronavirus continues to ruin all of our lives as all of the fun events in the world have been canceled lately. And this includes the Japanese baseball tournament that was supposed to be held recently at Koshien, or the Spring Koshien Tournament. However, they have very sort of humorously replaced the broadcast of the baseball tournament, that again will not be held, with 14 episodes of Major the Second anime as a rerun. They're going to be showing them from the 19th to the 22nd of March in 2 to 4 episode chunks. If you're a big fan of Major, well, you'll be able to watch some form of baseball. It won't be Koshien, but it is the next best thing. Next up, the producer of Final Fantasy VII's remake wants to do Final Fantasy V next. Yoshinori Kitase has set his sights on this as a possible next game to be remade by the Square Enix company. The project currently remains a personal dream of his, of course, and we'll have to see if it becomes a reality. Personally, I think that Final Fantasy VI would be a lot more exciting than Final Fantasy V, but, we will see if this game from 1992 gets remade. Next up, well, the BPO, or the Broadcasting Ethics and Program Improvement Organization, otherwise known as the Fun Police, are at it again. They are now somewhat very late reviewing the comedy, fantasy, ecchi show Interspecies Reviewers, which has sort of alarmed the whole world, I guess, for its depiction of brothels and sex shops, etc. And it looks like the BPO watchdog group in Japan is going to be reviewing Interspecies Reviewers. This is a group that generally compiles complaints from people and submits them for review. There have certainly been a lot of different complaints about Interspecies Reviewers, including it being vulgar and extreme, objectifying women, being a threat to children, and all kinds of other things. So it just looks like the BPO Broadcasting Ethics and Program Improvement Organization is at it again as they try to protect the youth in Japan. And next up, lastly, we haven't done this in a while, but we have the top 10 highly rated anime from the week of March 2nd through the 8th in Japan, giving you sort of a taste of what is popular in Japan. And I'm just going to skip the top 5 here because it's the same as always. Sazae-san, Chibi Maruko-chan, Detective Conan, Doraemon. Those are the top shows as always, and now getting to the ones that are a little bit less expected. My Hero Academia coming in at number 5 on the list. Other notable entries that aren't always here. Chihayafuru 3 is number 10 on the list. Other entries are Precure, Butt Detective, Anpanman, and Crayon Shinchan. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And, well, as always, we're going to get back to the podcast right now. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aaapodcast.com/join and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aaapodcast.com/join and support the podcast.
Hi, this is Sabrina Palencia, voice of Rei Ayanami, and I'm an anime addict. And then she cries.
Now presenting Burning Questions with the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast.
Would you rather
Yeah, I like these.
no.
I like these.
have
no.
taste buds in your butthole
What the fuck?
or poop out of your mouth but not taste it?
Taste buds in my butthole.
So you would rather taste your poop as you're shitting it.
Oh, well, you didn't explain what was
That's
gonna...
why the taste buds are in your butthole, is so you would. Oh,
okay,
God.
yeah. Taste buds in my butthole.
Oh, God.
What was the other one?
Or poop out of your mouth but not have to taste it.
I have to go with that one.
No.
I mean, that's disgusting.
Taste buds in my butthole.
No, that's you want to taste your own poop?
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You have taste buds in your mouth.
Yes.
If you hold your nose and eat food, you can't taste it. If I hold my nose, do I still fully taste it out of my butt? It's a valid question. It's a very important detail in the answer.
No, you have to squeeze your penis.
Oh, God.
Because that is the nose of your butt.
And now, back to the podcast.
Oh my god, that drop, huh?
Someone got a beer while we were gone. Look at that.
I mean, I'm celebrating. I am actually so stoked that I'm back on the podcast, guys. I miss you. I miss you.
Is that a
man.
Corona?
No, it's
Okay.
not a Corona. It is a Brooklyn brewery summer. What is it? It is a Brooklyn Bel Air sour, my favorite one.
Hmm.
Anyway, Mitz, do you want to answer the question for them, friend?
Oh, yeah, sure, I will. Shinichi. Oh, that's the wrong trivia question. All right, so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mitz, what are you doing? What is the name of the song that Carole Tuesday play in the Mars Brightest quarterfinals? It is called Whispering My Love to You.
Wow.
Because I love you so much.
Big wow.
Yo, if we don't whisper, that means we don't love you, you know? Yeah.
Wow. And now it's time for Mandi's Manga Minute.
I'm not whispering that.
She don't love us.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandi.
This is Mandi's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to tell you about a manga and help you find something new to read. And this one is Blood on the Tracks. Saiichi's mother loves him very much, and his days pass with placid regularity. School, friends, even the attention of his attractive classmate Fukishi, until one terrible summer day that all changed. He's back, guys. He's back. I think this is the third time that I've done a Shuzo Oshimi manga for Manga Minute. And for those who don't remember, he's the mangaka behind Flowers of Evil. And every time, I don't know why I come back to him. It's just, I know I'm gonna cringe, but like a train wreck, I can't look away.
You're just a manga addict, friend.
So, Blood on the Tracks is another Shuzo Oshimi manga, and it's a psychological drama. It is still currently publishing, with one volume currently available in English, and it began publishing in Japan back in 2017, so there's more volumes coming. And like other Oshimi manga, this series comes with the usual trigger warnings for disturbing circumstances and especially child abuse. But our protagonist, Saiichi, has a mother who is very protective of him. At first, Saiichi doesn't really know that it's a little odd. She guilt trips him out of spending time with his friends. She leaps to his defense when he's clearly in no real danger. And his cousin mocks him for having such an overprotective mother. And his relationship with his mother starts to plummet very quickly after they all go on a family hiking trip. And Saiichi is finally starting to realize there is something very wrong with his mother. And although the book is not labeled as a horror, I can definitely see how this manga will make people feel extremely uncomfortable. Because when your home is meant to be your safe place, what happens when that home, every second you spend there is suddenly filled with dread? And I would recommend it to fans of other Ishimi books, especially Flowers of Evil. I don't know, all of his seem to follow a very similar theme in that he just needs some happiness in his life and maybe some therapy.
Maybe his life is too happy, and this is
maybe
like his
it's
way
too
of like
happy. Yeah,
tempering it a
balancing.
bit.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
I always compare him to Neo Asano. Both of their mangas, I'm like, as soon as I get it, I'm like, this is gonna be sad or weird. Yeah.
Well, thank you,
Man,
Mandi.
I miss that music, Mandi.
No problem.
Mandi,
Natsume.
Mandi, you slayed your. This is Mandy's manga minute with whatever blah blah blah. You said that so fast and so.
I've only been doing it for years.
It was so. It
2
was like
years.
wow. My friend's a professional podcaster.
A podcaster.
A podcaster.
Speaking. No, I'm not going to go there.
Speaking of flubbing up an intro.
Game of waifus. You either win or you are late to anime school. Cake will be thrown. Ice cold tea will be served. Who will be top in the class and who will be flunked in Mason's Waifu Wars?
Damn.
It's better than the show itself. Anyway, this week.
You goddamn right.
I actually wanted to talk about the series for a little while, but since it doesn't have an official release or an anime, I didn't feel right bringing it up. But as of earlier this month, an anime for Kimono Jihen, which translates to Monster Incidents, was announced for later in 2020. I can't speak for my expectations of the quality of the anime because they haven't fully revealed like the staff working on it and all that stuff. But this is like a heads up that this is probably going to be a moderately successful shonen one, so you can put that on your radar now. This manga has been running for roughly 3 years. It's an ongoing series by Sho Imoto, and it's up to about 10 volumes at the time of this recording. It starts with Kabane, who's a strange boy who's working the fields of a remote mountain village instead of going to school, as all coronavirus kids are. Shunned by his peers and is nicknamed after a yokai that lives in the mud. A visiting Tokyo detective uncovers, they are out to uncover the truth behind a series of strange events that are causing many animal bodies to just be rotting away in a single night. And it turns out that Kabane and the detective and a whole bunch of other characters are somewhat monsters to some degree or another. And these occult monster detective team is formed. They go all over Japan to investigate all these supernatural events. It's a little immature at times, but it's fun as far as shonen goes, and it's probably worth checking out because the series is an absolute feast for the eyes. The manga looks so good, it's so consistent, and I hope that the anime can come close to capturing its liveliness and sharpness. It's kind of like Mob Psycho 100, but with yokai instead of physics. It's like Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun or Inspector with a little more action to it. And it's got like the Demon Slayer-esque, the bad guy back row moments where it's like, oh, they're actually not that bad, and everyone's just kind of suffering together. And the characters are all fun and well designed, and it makes for an interesting interplay between all these different factions because there's different, groups that are competing to like solve the mysteries first. And this means there's a large cavalcade of good boys and girls for there to be waifus for. But since this theme for this month is germ girls, there's a clear winner from the series when it comes to being cautious of bacteria. And it's our boy Akagi. Akagi is a detective within like the Fox or the Kitsune division. He's an absolute consummate professional that sides with whoever will help him reach his goals. His actions are good, they're bad, they know no bounds. He's willing to do anything and except touch anything. He just won't touch anyone. He's wearing gloves, that's a good start, but at all times he's carrying a full economy-sized container of wet wipes wherever he goes. And he will like touch someone and then like wipe his hands with the gloves on them and then wipe his phone to make a call that he found the person, and then he wipes the phone down again after he's done talking with it, and it's great. He has some issues with it. He takes a child hostage at one point. Not a great look, sure. But the kid gets so nervous, he starts peeing, and Akagi just like flips. He can't handle it.
Do you
And
say
he just
peeing?
It's like, okay, yeah, just urinating, and that's disgusting because kids are disgusting.
And he has no toilet paper.
And Akagi cannot deal with it. And he's just like, no, fine, you're free, you're done, go. And it's pretty great. And yes, he has some flaws. He is so scared of germs that he likes his meat cooked well done. That is a sin that I would need to correct. But in the end, I think him and I would make a great team. He's shown a willingness to cooperate with his partners, and I think we could all use a little Akagi's mindset in our current day of just
no shit.
Just be clean boys, wash your hands, and he's a winner. He's got that from Haikyuu, the Kageyama vibe look going on. It's pretty great. I can dig it. So Akagi from Kimono Jihen.
If they had this in English translation, I'd do it for Manga Minute, but I'm just waiting.
Gotta wait.
I'm hoping the anime will bring a translation down the road. So it looks good. It looks real good though. Yeah. So,
do you know what doesn't need to be translated at this moment though?
Unless you don't speak English.
Right, unless you don't speak English. Thank you, Mandi.
What's that?
The exclusive RSS feed for the podcast. Miss, you want to tell the peoples about it, huh?
Yeah, so we developed an exclusive. Many of you are already taking advantage of this, but we do have an exclusive RSS feed for the podcast. People were asking for a long time. Oh, Mitz. We want to listen to all your hentai episodes and your after parties and the hobby addicts. There's like 800 of them. But, people are like, oh, but, I don't want to listen to it through a website because this is 2020 and, that's not how we do things. And everyone listens to us through a smartphone, and I'm aware of that. Well, now when you support the podcast, you get access to a members-only RSS feed that you can access through almost any app that you'd be using to listen to your podcasts. So you can listen to the Hobby Addicts, the hentai episodes, the after parties, exactly like you will listen to all your regular podcasts through your smartphone, which pretty much alleviates that problem, I'm pretty sure. And you just get that along with the rest of the stuff. So you're not paying extra for it. We're just trying to find ways to make it easier for you to enjoy all of our extra content. And, and in return, we will, you'll help us, we'll give you that, and you'll help us continue to exist. So which, is always a good thing. So and you can get to that members RSS feed through the website. There's on the top bar on the far left, there's a link that'll take you to the page. It'll give you the URL for the feed. It'll give you the instructions on how to get it to work, and it's usually like copy paste this URL into your app. Done. Like, it's pretty much how it is. So head over there and make that happen. And so aapodcast.com/join is where you go to sign up, and then you get the RSS feed with it, and we will be tantalizing your ear holes evermore. So
awesome.
Thanks,
Mitz. And so that's all the exclusive stuff. But right now we are in the regular episode that we make available for you guys every week because we love y'all and we love doing this.
Dabu.
Labu. But on this week's episode, our main topic is providing some modern alternatives to classics that are kind of hard to find out there. Say you want to get into an old classic, but are either, put off by like the old art style, or you kind of just can't find it legally, which is the case for a lot of old classics are kind of in like legal hell, in copyright hell. And you're a good boy, you're a good lady, and you don't want to resort to privacy. So we're gonna want to give you guys some alternatives, some modern ones, to ones that are like classic, that are hard to find, but are similar in theme or execution or both. So I know I was not prepared for this topic on brand on my return as always.
Take a bow.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed in 6 months. But I'll give some on the fly input as you guys give your really nice answers that I'm reading through here, which is really great. So the first one up here is the classic Crest of the Stars. What do we have as alternatives for that one?
It was so hard. Like, I'm trying to think of shows that fit into that sort of like new shows that sort of fit into that epic space opera story. And there's definitely old shows that fit, but like that's not what we're trying to do here. And I don't think you can get Across the Stars anywhere. So
Funimation.
Oh, really? See,
Mhm.
I'm not following the rules either. So does this even apply for this topic if they can watch it someplace?
It can. I think we kind of went with a show that is before 2000 because while it might not be a classic in our mind, I think for what the majority of the anime, wow, I can't even say anime.
Animatics?
Anime community sees as old is anything like before then. So I think it's fair enough to say anything before 2000 we're kind of loosely calling a classic, and we also
Sure.
have a side list of things that aren't available legally. And just to give you guys a little more time to think on things, I have a whole list at the bottom of like remakes / like spiritual sequels that kind of act as remakes for other shows. So we can get to those at the end.
Yeah, I added a lot more to that one too. I didn't know if you saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure this out, and because space operas just haven't held up. Like they're not in style right now at all. But if you look online for shows similar to Crest of the Stars, inevitably you will see Legend of the Galactic Heroes in the category, in the same group as Crest of the Stars. And there is a new Legend of the Galactic Heroes, by the way. So if you want to watch something that's similar to Crest of the Stars, you can watch the new Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I think they now have 2 seasons of this out. And also like lighter in tone, like Martian successor Nadesco is sort of like a funnier, sort of not quite as epic, I would say, but just like kind of funny and it might scratch your itch a little bit, but just give you a little bit less of a serious tone to it. So, and but yeah, like they don't even make anime like this anymore. If we get like one anime a season that takes place in outer space, it's like a miracle these days. So
Kanata no Astra was the last one I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a while ago, I think. So I'm just like, I feel kind of sad about it.
Season or 2, yeah.
So
the first one that I had on my list of like classics was Nana / Paradise Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these works are kind of related to one another, but unfortunately are just not legally available anywhere. And I thought a possible alternative, not so much in the plot of the series, but just kind of general concept of, a music or performance-based art show that really centers around the romance and like relationships between people is actually Rakugo Shinju. I think it's very similarly deep and complex and is about the people more than the art that they're performing or the fashion that they're getting involved with. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'd say conceptually, I think you could find interest and overplay between both.
For Nana specifically, I say Kids on the Slope because it does take a more mature approach, and it does deal heavily a lot with music. So I could see some crossover between fans with those. I also, for both Nana and Paradise Kiss, deal with a lot of really messy relationships. And so I said Scum's Wish because I feel like there's a lot of
it's messy, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of very similar relationship issues in all 3 of those.
Sometimes
so if that's what you like in both Nana and Paradise Kiss is like that really messy relationship drama, check out Scum's Wish.
I said Honey and Clover. I think that there's a component in like Paradise Kiss, for example, of sort of like finding your way in life. And I find that while, they're not similar in every way, they definitely share that. Honey and Clover, it's a bunch of kids that are kind of, in school, getting ready to not be in school, trying to figure out their way through life. And Paradise Kiss, like, for example, feels like that, as the main girl is kind of trying to find her way. And I haven't watched much of Nana, but of what I know of it, I'm sure I think it fits kind of in there as well. So
yeah, I have for to lean into like the music aspect of Nana, I would recommend what we're reviewing today is from Carole Tuesday. It is a very recent music anime that's available on Netflix. That also it's very much about music, but it also does focus on some inter-character relationships and the building of friendship between two female leads. And then also, I mean, it's not my favorite music anime to come out in recent time, but this one does lean more heavily into it throws some romance in there. It's Fuka. Not my favorite music anime, but some people liked it in the music anime fandom. So I would recommend those two for this category that has Nana in it.
I also wanted to say, because our big thing here is that these are options that are made elite or legal for you, legal options for you.
Yes.
So Kids on the Slope is available almost everywhere. Scum's Wish specifically is Amazon Prime. So I'm going to try to remember to shout out where you can watch them.
Oh, good point.
I
So
think
Fuka, I believe
Rakugo
it's Crunchyroll.
Crunchy.
Yeah. Fuka's Crunchy, and Carole Tuesday is Netflix.
Mm.
Yeah.
So next we have Hajime no Ippo. So I had one that Mitz has one. I would have written down this one that Mitz has, but I'll let Mitz say it because he had it down way first.
I mean, not as way first as you might think. It's Megalobox, I think, for me. I mean, I think it's literally like, Ashita no Joe is supposed to be the inspiration for Hajime no Ippo, and Megalobox, Ashita no Joe is also the inspiration. It's almost like a sequel in a way. So yeah, definitely Megalobox, and I know that that's legally available as well. So where did I watch that?
Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so Crunchyroll for sure. And Megalobox is fun. It's not that long. Not a big time investment, and it definitely give you like sort of that it'll scratch that boxing itch for you with a little bit of like a bebop flair to it, sort of, I guess. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Mason,
I went off the wall with my recommendation.
Elaborate on JoJo Part 4.
Yeah, please elaborate on that.
So I was like, okay, Hajime no Ippo. I put this one on the list as a classic, and I'm like, oh, this is a great series. I highly recommend it. It's one of my few 10 out of 10s. And
JoJo Part 4, yeah, I agree.
I strongly encourage people to watch Hajime. The problem is it's not streaming anywhere. So I was like, well, I could just be like, oh, it's a boxing show. Here's any token sports anime. Here's any token boxing. Anyone can do that. Anyone can look that up. I was like, what really defines Hajime no Ippo? It's an epic, overwhelmingly optimistic look at life, and then just this big, epic arc with lots of lovable characters. I'm like, what shows fit that? Gurren Lagann, it's optimistic and it's epic. JoJo Part 4, it's a bunch of boys that you just love going around doing their best. And Beck,
drawing manga.
So just kind of all like encapsulate the same kind of tone. So it's not the same plot, it's not even the same sport, but it's just the theme, the vibe, the feel I get watching them is comparable between those series. So
wild.
I thought it was close enough.
I respect the reaching out of the box, my dude.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Mandy. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I have not seen Hajime no Ippo yet. It's on my list, but I will say for all of these and anything that comes on this list, I'm gonna say the alternative is always Hunter x Hunter. You could just go watch that instead.
You could just watch Hunter x Hunter.
You could just watch that instead. I mean, Crescent Stars, Hunter x Hunter.
Sure.
Hajime no Ippo. Hunter x Hunter. I mean, come on. It works.
Nana?
In her circumstances. Hunter x Hunter. Come on.
Nana hasn't ended yet. It's still like ongoing. We're waiting for the second arc. Hunter x Hunter. It's still ongoing. We're still waiting. It's thematically similar.
That's amazing. For Hajime no Ippo, just to give a super like what Mesa was saying, like a very token answer, just watch Haikyuu. Just watch Haikyuu. It's a sports anime. It's not about boxing, but it is about a lot of characters growing into their own and becoming extremely dedicated to the sport they're playing to try and win. So that's what I would say.
Let me slip it in like our little favorites here. Interesting moves. Okay.
I mean,
I will always shout out Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
I am consistent.
Mandy is
that's true.
Breathing Hunter x Hunter all the time.
Yes.
And
for those who are tired of it, I'm just saying, make your own podcast.
Man, he's like, if you're tired of it, I'm tired of your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Maybe
ass
it's like
smells
either you're
too.
tired of it because you haven't watched it yet, in which case that's your problem. Watch it, or you have seen it, and then why would you be tired of it? Like
Yeah.
that does not compute.
You know,
Exactly, yeah.
or just fuck off. You know, seriously.
Yep. Yep.
I think
All right,
the next one we should talk about is Rosa Versailles.
Versailles.
'Cause this is an
I have
actual
no
classic.
recollection. I have no recollection a lot of Rosa Versailles. I can't wing a recommendation for this one.
No worries. I think Mandy has the
That
best.
was
too.
me. Yeah. So I put down Rosa Versailles. The first option that I put down was Utena, Revolutionary Girl Utena, because it is available legally, but also it is still an older anime. Because I was trying to do modern ones, newer series, but that is really the closest that I can think of to really capture Rosa Versailles. And but yeah, that one could still be pretty difficult to get into if you don't like the older art styles. But yeah, both Rosa Versailles' main character is very gender fluid. So also Utena, which deals with the main character Utena, she doesn't like to fall into a lot of the gender roles. So if you I don't know, those two main characters are very similar, but I also said 12 Kingdoms because Rosa Versailles is very political driven. So is 12 Kingdoms. And also Yoko in 12 Kingdoms, she doesn't really fall into a lot of like the stereotypical women or girl characters in anime. She's very different. So I don't know. I think both of those, you can try those out if you are interested. And Utena, I know, is on Funimation. 12 Kingdoms, I believe, is also Funimation. Let me double check.
I think I watched 12 Kingdoms on Amazon.
It might be. You're right. It's
Yeah,
not
not Prime.
Funimation. It's Crunchyroll and Prime. Yeah.
My recommendation for Rosa Versailles is a show called Les Chevaliers d'Aeon.
So fancy.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It came out in
the names.
2006, and you can watch it on Funimation or Hulu. And it's similarly, I mean, it's about the Versailles era in 18th century France. I mean, it's a lot of very much the same time and place as Rosa Versailles. It's definitely definitely, if you don't like the art style of Rosa Versailles, it is a classic one. This is definitely more modernized. It has a great dub that really, captures the sound of the era, and it was really well put together. I haven't seen all of it, but from what I have seen, I was like, yeah, this is pretty comparable. So check that out. I feel like not enough people are talking about it.
How old is it?
15 years, 14 years. I think it was like mid 2000s.
Okay. It's on Funimation too.
Cammy has a good one in the chat. Review Starlight.
Oh yeah.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Review Starlight. Oh, it's on High Dive. You could definitely watch that on High Dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one that I put down was I'm the only one I think who has seen it.
Yeah, I think so.
Which wait, did we skip over Planet S?
I did, yeah.
Sure
It was
did.
You don't
very
want to do
similar.
it?
Yeah, we can do it later.
Oh, for Crest of the
do it later.
Stars. I gotcha. I was looking at the list. I was like, wait, we skipped one. My next one was Magic Knights Rayard because I don't know if it's available legally anywhere. I don't think it
I
is.
would
Let me
not
double
know.
check. It's
I
not
would
coming up
not
on
know.
because.moe. So I don't think it is, but man, this one was really hard because I was thinking the ones that I would recommend were like Fushigi Yugi or Escaflowne. Both of those are also pretty old. So if you're looking for a newer one, the only other option that I had is maybe Gurren Lagann, being somewhat similar, but not similar because Magic Knights Rayard is a magical girl show. Or not magical girl, kind of. It's an isekai. And but Gurren Lagann, I think they both deal with this sort of this bad person or bad character that they are trying to protect the world from. And there's also mechs in it. So I don't know. That was the only thing that I could really think of that was even remotely close that wasn't like also from 90s or 80s.
Mandy puts in a classic, comes up with nothing. Shit. Only one to have seen it. Oh well.
Yeah.
Watch the original, I guess. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah.
It's not legally anywhere. But Gurren Lagann is also on Crunchyroll.
Yeah. The next one on the list is sorry, Mitch, did you have one
I mean,
for Magic Knights?
I'm just wondering why we skipped Planet Test because it's not that similar to Crest of the Stars.
I was just saying because my last two were all ones that were not classics, but just unlicensed, as is the case with Planet Test. So I wanted to get to some classic ones first.
Okay,
But let's do
okay.
Planet Test now. You know, it's like I
Yeah,
said, it's
might as
a
well,
newer
might as
show,
well.
but has no legal way of watching it. And this one was tough because it's a show in space, but it's not really so much about space in
that,
the same
yeah.
way. And so I was trying to fit the tone of it. And the two
It
I
is-
came up with
Yeah.
were Hibine Renmei and Cowboy Bebop. They're both kind of ethereal, but both of my suggestions ended up being a little more not introspective, but and not depressing, but just a little more negative than what I feel like Planet Test has to offer. And I'm glad you brought up your option, Mitz, because I think that more closely represents the tone. But I think all the ones we've represented here show the depth that Planet Test has, and whatever you pull out of it can be applied to all sorts of things.
I want to hear more about how you're linking Hibine Renmei to Planet Test, because I mean, I wouldn't have thought
It's
of that.
otherworldly.
Is Planet Test otherworldly? I mean,
It's
It's
literally
space.
outside the atmosphere most
It's
of the
outside
time.
our world.
I mean, okay. I mean, one of them is collecting garbage in space for about at least 30% of it, and then one of them is an allegory for purgatory. So I guess
Sure.
I
I
guess
was going more with, the characters in Planet Test. They're all here by some means that they really didn't choose, but they're out on this space, and all they're really doing is the best they can, and how their personalities intermix and digest the situations that they're in. And Hibine Renmei is very much a group of people who are in a place. They're not really sure how they even got there, but kind of accepting or dealing with the situation that they're in. And it very much makes you as the watcher reflect inward and think about how you are contemplating your life.
that's a really damn good anime, by the way.
Renmei, yeah.
Oh my
You know it.
god.
Yeah.
Well, I said.
I have a. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead,
you know
go
what?
ahead,
Why
go
don't you
ahead.
go ahead, Enzo? Because
Well,
you're
just
back
wanted to go
again.
and throw this in there because I wrote this down before someone in chat said this, and it's a little trolly, but I wrote down Space Dandy, because it's in space.
What?
And it's
Nailed it.
Yep.
Believe it or not, it's in space.
Fucking nailed it.
Dude, listen, did I lose? Huh?
No.
No,
Nailed.
no, never.
Only
never,
my
of course not.
sanity.
It's in space. Yeah, just like Goo in the chat said, it's in space and it's dandy.
Well, I mean, that's for sure.
All right, that's it. I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you for that. That was important. For me, it's Space Brothers. Space Brothers.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's a good one.
They're both comedies.
In space.
I mean, Space Brothers. I guess a fair chunk of it does take place in space.
It's in the
because-
name.
I mean, it's in
Maybe
the name. Damn
Most
it.
of it isn't in space. Spoilers until later.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Space Brothers is a little longer than Planet Test. Yeah, I think Space Brothers ended at episode 99, which is really random. But I mean, it's about people who want to go to space to work in different capacities. In Planet Test, which is set way in the future, they are already working in space in a specific capacity. And they're both comedies. Planet Test, I mean, they both get pretty sensitive at times. Like Planet Test later on gets pretty here and there. It gets pretty like deep. Like you're gonna think a little bit. And then Space Brothers is the same way. So maybe, I mean, I
And
guess
they're both realistic looks at space.
Yeah,
Even though
exactly.
Planet Test is in the future. They're dealing with a very real world problem, that the Kessler syndrome caused by physical debris in the atmosphere. So
And
it feels real.
And I also wrote memories, specifically Magnetic Rose. I mean, in Magnetic Rose, I can't remember. Are they literally collecting garbage in space? Because I thought so. I
don't remember.
I
don't
thought
remember
they were
that's
just
what they're doing.
avoiding, like, cleaning up stuff around the satellites and, like, protecting that, but I could be wrong. But to some degree, yes, it was.
They're definitely removing objects from a certain section of space.
Yeah, it says in Magnetic Rose,
Definitely.
a story of garbage collectors responding to a distress signal from an old space station. So,
well, fuck. Well, that's the one.
For at least 5 minutes before Magnetic Rose pivots into just an awesome looking horror movie, more or less. they are actually collecting garbage in space for 5 minutes. And I don't know any other anime where they also collect garbage in space other than these two. There's something, I'm sure, but I haven't seen whatever that is. So I'm done. I'll shut up now.
No, Memories is a good one actually.
It's so
the
good.
next one, the next
Whoa,
one.
wait, technical foul.
Hold
get
the
to do
phone.
mine.
Oh my
Hold
God.
the
Everyone
phone.
skipped
Oh
me.
my God,
Okay,
I'm
look.
sorry, friend.
I chose Welcome to the NHK because, like Mitch
Love
said, where Planetes goes into, gets a lot deeper later on in terms of drama. So does Welcome to the NHK in terms of like both them dealing with their characters' motivations and like their weaknesses, and also they both deal with a lot of heavy drama and comedy as well. So I don't know. That's why I chose Welcome to the NHK.
And who could
Whoa.
forget the infamous space arc of Hunter x Hunter? I mean, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
of
I mean, there's
course.
also Hunter x Hunter.
They be in space,
I mean, the
My
Chimerians came
spaceship
from
has-
a different world.
right? Which is an other world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. NHK, I will say, has one of my favorite OPs of all time. I love the OP to when it comes to the NHK.
I
Just,
don't
you know,
remember
just to say
it. I gotta
Oh,
watch
it's a
it again.
super like nicely sung one that's the complete opposite of the ending that makes it seem like, oh wait, someone put on a joke video at the end.
Literally, yes. It's one of my favorite OPs visually, and musically is very solid, but visually is a lot of good textures on it. But I digress.
I digress.
I digress. I have digressed. But the next one on the list that I am glad one of you guys put down is His and Her Circumstances. Mandi, of course, the legend herself. Mandi, you want to go
I
first?
think the rest of them are all mine.
Nice.
I put that a lot.
What a legend. Want to go first, Mandi?
Yeah, so His and Her Circumstances, to my knowledge, is not available anywhere legally. But I chose 3 series where the main character is kind of has a dual personality. So in His and Her Circumstances, the main character, she is very, beautiful, prim, proper at school. When she goes home, she's an absolute gremlin. And
You'll love to see it.
yes, and so this boy at school who's very popular finds her like this and is totally cool with it, and it's a romance between those two. But Maid Sama is very similar to that, where the main girl at school, she's very aggressive. She's always telling the boys what to do. She's in charge of everybody. She's just she doesn't act like, she's not very feminine at school, but she works as a maid in a very submissive role, and she doesn't want to or she works as a maid in a maid cafe, sorry. And she doesn't want anyone to know because that she thinks it's going to make her look bad at school, and that no one will. She wants everyone to take her seriously. And then this guy at school finds out at this maid cafe, and so it's a romance between those two. Romantic comedy. And there's also Horimiya. Horimiya is very similar to His and Her Circumstances, in that the main girl is has this image at school where she's very prim and proper, and at home she's very motherly and takes care of all the chores. So she doesn't want anyone to know that, and I don't know why, but
All right, like it's
I don't
a
think
bad
it's
thing.
bad.
No, it's
Yeah.
a great thing. What?
But yeah, and then this guy at school who's also has a dual personality. He's very put together at school, but he has tons of piercings and tattoos that he hides. And so outside of school, everyone thinks that he looks like a punk. So it's a romantic comedy between those two. That one has a really long manga,
Love it.
but it has a 4-episode OVA, which doesn't capture much of the series. So you can try that. I think let me check where they are. I think Maid Sama is on Funimation.
Googling.
I've seen it on Funimation, I believe.
Googling.
Yeah. I will say for Horimiya, I'm not the biggest manga reader just because I don't have the time, but Mandi can vouch, I binged so many volumes of Horimiya, dude.
We
It's
both
so
did at the
good.
same time. It's
Yes,
available
it's so
on
good.
Maid Sama is available on Netflix and High Dive and Hulu. And Horimiya is am I wrong? There might not be available legally anywhere. I'm so sorry.
You can
They
read
I
the
thought
manga.
it was.
You can read
They
the
played
manga.
You can read the
Thank you.
manga, guys.
Read the manga.
Or you can watch Hunter x Hunter. I'm just saying, you could.
You could watch Hunter x Hunter.
No,
I mean-
clearly the troll answer of the main female character who is prim and proper at school and the gremlin at home is Umaru-chan. That's what people want to watch.
True. You're not wrong, Mason. I also put down The Wallflower, which I think is on Funimation. I don't know. That one, it's another romantic comedy, but that one is about this girl who is really into horror stuff, and she's very shy, like very she's very introverted and awkward. And then everyone else, all these guys around her are trying to get her to become more ladylike. So I guess it's kind of like the backwards version. But I don't know. That one, you could possibly try that one out.
Yeah.
But I think Maid Some is probably the best option.
Yeah. I wrote down like for these two came to mind immediately, and the one is Ao Haru Ride or Blue Spring Ride. It's just a nice, like, really no complicated plot whatsoever, like a little rom-com type thing. It's cute. I actually recently binged it for no reason, like before I went on my hiatus of the podcast. I just literally, it was available, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to think for a while, so I just put it on, and I ended up watching the whole thing. Another one is an anime that I was loving up until around the end of where it kind of lost me, but it's Just Because. It is a slice of life romance anime. It has a lot of different couples you could follow, and the pacing is pretty slow, but if you're into slice of life, it is a very comfortable type feel to watch. And it also has romantic elements as well. So I put down those two as ones you could watch that are recent. I believe both of these are on Crunchyroll. I believe.
Crunchyroll.
Pretty sure both of these. I watched Ao Haru Ride on Crunchyroll when I was watching it, and Just Because it's on Crunchyroll too. So
Good call on Just Because. I completely forgot that.
Most people did, because the ending was not what people wanted. Like I kind of blurred it out of my head, but it's a good watch for me. So
you're like, Just Because. I'm like, I've seen that. I think.
Yeah, you definitely
I had to look it up.
You definitely watched that
one. My suggestion, just because it's really good, is March Comes In Like a Lion, because god damn it, it's
He's
good.
pulled a Hunter x Hunter card.
It's exactly. I've activated my trap card, and it's a shogi board, and it's just really good characters, and that's about it. I mean, you get into inner psychology and the deeper problems that people are facing. The faintest hint of a glimmer of romance, but it's not really that. So if you're looking for romance, don't go here. But if you just want to see really well written characters with a sometimes hard hitting tone, it's a really good show, and you won't be disappointed. It just might be what you're looking for. I'll kind of phone that one in.
It still makes sense though. Like, it's still a great fucking anime to watch, dude.
For this one, the only thing I can think of quickly was, because to me, His Inner Circumstances is always like, it's a more of a serious, it's a comedy, but it's one of those shows where like they actually have a relationship, and there's a lot of like emotion behind it rather than just
it's
like
not perfect.
Yeah, and I had a couple thoughts. One of them was My Little Monster. Like, it's been a while since I've seen that, but that's, to me, as I recall, about a girl who's like a really good student who gets wrapped up with a boy. It's a boy who's kind of,
A ruffian.
A ruffian, basically, and the characters in His Inner Circumstances aren't ruffians, but like, it makes their relationship not perfect, and they have things about themselves that they're kind of trying to hide from the school. I couldn't think of anything else really all that great, so I Googled it, and people kept saying Kimi ni Todoke, so I wrote that down, which is a really well loved show, yeah,
they're both like essential shoujo series too.
Yeah, and for some reason I kept thinking the Oh Savage, Maidens in Your Savage Season. For some reason I think it was just because like these are both shows where I think people were kind of starting to discover like relationships, and they kind of take a more serious approach to relationships that a lot of other shows do not, and I find them both kind of refreshing in that way. So rather than just like tiptoeing around the idea and like, oh my god, they held hands, they take it a little further, and but that's probably not a perfect comparison.
Kimi ni Todoke is on Crunchyroll and Hulu if you wanted to check it out.
It's
That's
so
where
good.
you can find it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And the next category I really love.
Yeah, the next one is I put down the Battle Angel Alita OVA series. As far as I know, it's the only anime that they've made for it. But it's pretty old, not available anywhere.
It is old.
Guys, you want to watch Battle Angel Alita? You should just watch Dodo Hey Dodo.
You know,
I mean,
you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong, right? So Battle Angel Alita deals with two separate worlds of people who are up top and they're living great, and the people stuck down on the bottom in like a dystopian world that's awful. Nobody wants to live there. Dodo Hey Dodo is exactly that. There's the hole, and then there's the sorcerers who come and screw up everybody in the hole.
Oh my gosh, wait a second. I have an even better anime than that. Have you ever heard of this show called Hunter x Hunter?
Have you ever heard of Gintama?
Gintama.
Guys, you can just watch Gintama.
Just watch
They
Gintama.
have a samurai cop who loves mayonnaise.
Bruh.
Mayonnaise is good.
It's just like Battle Angel Alita.
It's a copy. It's a copy paste. A control
I
C,
have-
control V.
Ruined this topic. I'm so sorry.
Only slightly. My recommendation is actually one I think I got from Mitz, like mini episodes back.
I
But
love
it's
this.
another OVA. Area Zerime, the animation.
So
I
good.
think it was it 3 or 6 episodes?
It's 6 episodes.
6 episodes. I think
Yeah.
you can find it on Amazon. But it's also very similar. I mean, it's a short OVA, badass female character.
Oh yeah.
Not as, not the same theme of like an upper world and a lower one, but definitely about fighting for survival against people who don't agree with you all the time. And it's a good short romp.
With very expensive anime cells. If you want
Yes.
if you want a decent area anime cells, I have looked, you're going to pay like $500. So hurts me. I took my approach to this was a little more not so much like class like upper class, lower class, but more like technology, dark and gritty, And I thought of Technolize right away. So Technolize is definitely a dark, gritty show where people are kind of living in the dirt, and it's been a hell of a long time since I watched this anime, but people are kind of living in the dirt, and they got like machine arms and all kinds of shit. So like you
That was
like
forced on him too.
Yeah, Technolize is some dark ass shit and trippy too. So that's my best. That's my best comparison.
I also put down Ghost in the Shell. I put down Standalone Complex just because it was the more modern Ghost in the Shell, but I don't think it's available anywhere legally, which really surprised me. I was looking, I was like, I can't find it anywhere. So, but Arise is available on Funimation. So you can check that one out. That one deals with a lot of cyborgs and in a futuristic world. I don't know. You can try that one out.
Yeah, I just wrote down, but I forgot what to make sure it's available for streaming because I just thought of it. But
I'll check for you.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is too. That's kind of why like my conscience was like, you can write it down. It's Moribito. It has very similarly a very strong female lead. It is a very, very amazing show. It's not necessarily thematically similar to Battle Angel Alita, but if you're in that mood, and you want to see another woman like beat the shit out of people and like be also very kind at the same time, it's Moribito for sure. It's a good fucking watch.
Good suggestion.
It doesn't look like it's streaming anywhere.
Damn.
What is 2B TV? It says it's on that. I don't know what that is though.
2B TV?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
TU.
Probably like a New Zealand.
Probably. The live action's on Amazon Prime if you want to watch Trial of Blood.
There you go. Just like Battle Angel Alita. Got a live action adaptation. There you go.
There
There
it
you
is.
go.
Nailed it.
Okay. What we got next week, guys?
My next one is Rune Soldier Louis, and I also put down Lodos War. Lodos War, I believe, is on Funimation, but again, it's like it's a classic that is very old looking, and some people might not be able to get into it. Rune Soldier Louis is not available anywhere, but those are both like set in the same world. Rune Soldier Louis is a bit more of a comedy based on D&D in the Lodos War, and Lodos War is just straight up D&D.
Yeah.
But specifically for Rune Soldier Louis, I said Konosuba. Konosuba is a comedy, ridiculous comedy that is based on a tabletop RPG style. And for Lodos War, I said maybe Claymore. I don't know. It's
I'm
hard
with you.
because
I'm with you on Claymore.
we don't get a whole lot of RPG themed anime.
Truly.
There is Goblin Slayer. You can try Goblin Slayer, but there are warnings at that one. But Claymore, I don't know. It's still a dark fantasy that I don't know. You can try that one out. Monster slaying.
I kept thinking the same thing when you like. I feel really bad because I've seen Lodos War a few times and I really like it, but I just couldn't think of anything I wanted to really say here. And I
There's
don't
not
e-
much,
And
yeah.
this probably isn't really even available anywhere. But I kept thinking of the short. I think it's an OVA, Bastard, which is not modern,
Wow.
which is also not modern, by the
Yeah.
way. So I didn't write it down, but like I thought I would just throw that out. It's probably not available. It's old, but I don't know.
Because I was also thinking like The Slayers, but that one is also like really old. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Other than that, maybe like Grimoire or what the hell is that freaking show called? Fantasy and Ash.
Yes. There's a
That-
Grand Blue. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, some of these shows are like a little
Not Grand
RPG esque. Yeah, not Grand
thinking
Blue. It's
about?
not what I'm thinking.
What am I
It's
thinking
like
about?
Grimgar.
Grimgar, Fantasy
You
and
had it right.
Ash.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, Grimgar is RPG esque and it's modern, and I think that's probably on Crunchyroll. I'm not really sure, but it's available someplace. So
Yeah. I again, it's just also not like very much RPG based, but it has a lot of like fantasy like tropes, and it's ReZero, which currently has like a season. I don't know if it's ended already or not, but
another one's coming, baby. Get ready.
yeah. But ReZero has a whole bunch of fantasy aspects. It does get a little dark relative to its
it does.
genre. So maybe give that a try if you want some magic, if you want some fantasy world type stuff.
And can I just say, side note, I'm excited as hell for more ReZero.
Yeah, me too.
That friggin' show
I have
was
yet
good.
to watch the newer stuff that came out, but I did enjoy the first season of the stuff we got for.
And that
for sure,
anime,
so.
that anime is like, God, it's almost like an icon right now in the anime community. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, it's really well. It was received one and it has maintained its like its love in the fandom 100%.
yeah. That's a good way
I
to put it.
cheated with my answer to this one.
Cheater.
I was like, oh, what's a great like RPG Dungeons and Dragons esque like fantasy isekai world? Dungeon Meshi. It doesn't exist yet, but it's a pretty good manga, and this will absolutely get an anime one day. So when it does,
God, I hope.
you can watch
Yeah.
it then.
It has to.
I love Dungeon Meshi,
Mhm.
but similar to Dungeon Meshi, there is the Drifting Dragons. That's very similar. It's just not D&D style, but it's like about hunting these creatures that are to us are mythological and then eating them. So, yeah,
Yummy.
Hunting.
and there's also Hunter x Hunter.
Oh my God. I've never heard.
There is a whole arc about like an RPG.
I've heard of this
Come
Hunter.
on, guys.
I've heard of Hunter x Hunter. What is this?
Just making sure that one person out there who hates it, I'm making sure that I'm going to annoy you as much as possible. for
You're
this
on their
episode.
shit list big time.
That's okay. The next one I put down is Monster, because believe it or not, Monster is not available anywhere legally.
I
sad.
struggled with this one. I struggled. I struggled.
My very first option or idea that came to my mind was Death Note. About like,
Was what?
Death Note.
Oh, Death Note. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Between like the between what is like
BRB.
BRB,
Why'd I
he
get
says
a
as he gets up.
bow. Oh, I was like, what's happening? Or Enzo just left us.
His BRB
but,
does.
He had to pee, probably. I
Or
hope
dro-
he has
or-
toilet paper.
You know what? Wait a second. I think I have a drop here for this. You don't like eating dog shit? We have so many poop drops.
I'm gonna sit on your face.
There we go.
That's how you clean up.
P.
Or pee. So yeah, I mean, they're both thrillers and dealing with, monsters inside of people, killers. So I don't know. That was the best option that I had for that one. I think Mason also had another one that I was debating.
Sorry, I'm just cracking up. In the chat, we had a special appearance by Kazuo who just says Enzo's gone.
Oh
Now's
shit!
my chance. Oh my goodness.
That would be so hilarious if Enzo came back and
we just
Kazuo
remove his like picture from the screen, replace it with Kaz special call-in. Oh, that would be.
We could just call him.
Just kick him out.
Yeah, kick him.
Bring him in. Yeah.
We could just
Kick him out.
dial Kazuo in right now. I mean,
Everyone who came for Enzo.
Yep.
You got what, like 20 minutes with him? 100 or an hour? You're good.
Yeah.
I mean,
we gotta bring back the greats.
Listen.
Also, guys, if you want to watch Monster, just watch Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah. Anyway, what Monster? Yes, I had 2 replacements that were about as close as I could manage. Monster is very much its own work. It's very contemplative. It's long. It's methodical, and you don't really get a whole lot of epic series like that nowadays. So my 2 were Ajin and Psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Both dark psychological things, very modernized, very hip and with it in short series, and kind of just have that same depressive pit of the stomach tone. And I liked both of them. I thought Ajin got a little bit of hate, but I thought its CG looked really solid. So don't be scared by that. And if you are scared, check out Psychopaths. I think Psychopaths is on. I'm not going to even blindly guess and get it wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's Funimation. I'm pretty sure.
Let's see. Psychopaths is Funimation, Hulu, Anime Lab, Netflix. It's on everything.
Friggin' everywhere.
Yeah, it was just like when I brought up March Comes In Like a Lion earlier. Like that's on almost any platform. So both of those I thought were pretty solid. And
I really struggled.
Mitch.
I struggled with this one, and I was like, what shows are thrillers and they contain like a murderer, more or less, and it's a pretty underserved genre in general, I think, but Perfect Blue was a good one. It's not a series, a movie, but Perfect Blue, definitely psychological, gritty, murder mystery, whatever. Denpateki no Kanojo, I keep talking about this once in a while, but this is definitely about serial killers, and that one might scratch your itch a little bit. It's like 2 1-hour OVAs. That anime is great. I feel like I never hear anybody mention Denpateki no Electromagnetic Girlfriend. That shit is dark, violent.
I've seen that.
And short and easy to watch and looks great, and people should try that. And then, of course, Mandi, I haven't watched this, but I saw online that it's similar. Master Keaton, same creator.
I was waiting. I held my breath.
Same creator, and apparently the same-ish main character. I mean, what the fuck, people?
People vote for it for the classics. Vote for it.
I've been trying.
Speaking about something that's not going to go away until we accept it.
I tried bribery.
You
no
did?
one would buy into it. Yes, in our anime club, I was like, guys, I threatened them.
Wow.
They still didn't vote for it.
Bribery isn't the same as threatening, is it?
Look, it's. I mean, if you squint, just a little. What about Perfect Insider?
I was kind of thinking that. I don't know. It's good. It's a good mystery series. It's close. I was thinking of stuff like Shiki almost when we started going off on a weird tangent where it's there is part of a mystery to it, but it's not as true of a mystery as Monster or Master Keaton or F the Perfect Insider. But I don't know. We're probably drifting a little bit far away. There's really no replacement for the essence of what Monster captures. And speaking of one of the most haunting endings of all time, it's so cool.
Yeah. What's next, guys? One more here.
One more.
Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah, the last one.
With a great friggin' theme song. I mean, it's awesome. The theme song is awesome.
We almost all had the same train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, you just need a stylish action show with cool girl main characters, and for me, Read or Die, the OVA popped right up. in my head. You know, dirty pair, stuff like that. The Read or Die OVA is so good. It's so good, and it's short, and it's just like awesome, and has like a jazzy like theme song, just like Gunsmith. God, they're really similar, just like Gunsmith Cats, and Agent Paper is really fun.
I don't think it's anywhere legally.
Well,
No,
you know
it's
what?
not.
I'm just a rule breaker.
I mean, if you recommend classics for classics, you might as well watch the original movie that Gunsmith Cats came from, which is Riding Bean.
There you go.
It's like a 50-minute show that's a classic, but, you know, very same style. I mean, Mandi, go ahead with yours because it's very conceptually the same.
Yeah, Black Lagoon. You want a badass girl who fucking loves guns? Black Lagoon.
She is
It's on
badass.
Shit
Funimation.
up. Yep.
Yeah.
I love Black Lagoon, dude.
Yeah, Revy is a crazy ass chick.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy as heck.
She will stomp on a nut.
I went with the depressive moe version of girls shooting guns and went with Gunslinger Girl because
Yeah.
it's about as close to Gunsmith Cats in name as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a stylized, fun, snappy, good time like the others, but it might fulfill that fix, so don't sleep on it.
Yeah.
And that is, I will stall for time as I gun.
Nope, we're gonna be silent until you find it.
Nope,
what-
I'm gonna
Yes.
take as much
Dead
time
air,
possible.
baby. Let's
Well,
do it.
what do we have for the rest of this? Because we should definitely
We can
start.
pass. We can
should
pass
start
on it now.
Yeah, we should start thinking
can
about
wrap this up.
Carole and Tuesday. So
Well, if you want to watch Hunter x Hunter, you could just watch the 2011 remake.
Yeah,
man, he's not giving
exactly.
up.
Gunslinger Real, Funimation, and Hulu. Mandi, where can people watch Hunter x Hunter?
You can watch it. I know
my
it's on
goodness.
Netflix. Is it Crunchyroll?
Oh my
I think it's on
God.
Crunchyroll.
I
Crunchyroll.
think so
You can watch
too.
it on
I think so
Crunchyroll.
There you go. That's where you need to go, people. That's where Mandi will support your endeavors. And I think
Yeah.
all my other notes we can either say for another topic or another day. If not, check the show notes. Trivia, Mandi, lay it on us.
Yeah, so we're going to go on break. And our trivia question, which we'll answer after the break, is Shinichiro Watanabe and Yoko Kanno have teamed up to work on what anime together? And there's multiple answers.
Oh yeah.
So think about it, and we'll answer it after the break.
You get a victory if you get 3 out of the 4.
Well, now you told them there's 4.
Doesn't change the answers.
Cheater!
Dummy.
Hey everybody, Mitsuki's back, bringing you another anime news break, leading off with a pretty interesting auctioned item. So back in the day, Sony and Nintendo were actually pretty close to collaborating to create the Nintendo PlayStation, but at some point during that deal, Sony got pissed off and decided not to sign the deal with Nintendo and instead release their own PlayStation system. But they had made 200 prototypes of the Nintendo PlayStation prior to that falling out, and there was recently an auction in which one of these consoles were sold for a whopping $360,000. Doesn't seem to matter that there are no games or software for the console. It is just a fantastic collector's item, and if you want to check it out online, you can certainly find pictures of the Nintendo PlayStation. It's worth looking at for those of you that like to collect video game merchandise. Next up, Demon Slayer is obviously the most popular thing on planet Earth right now, and the anime is getting a PlayStation 4 game in 2021 to probably no one's shock. Weekly Shonen Jump magazine announced this recently in the 16th issue of the magazine. The title of the game will be Demon Slayer Hinokami Chifutan, which does not currently have an English translation. Aniplex is going to be publishing this game, and the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine teased, they call it a teaser, but they said that Tanjiro will be the playable character, which I say obviously, so it's not really much of a teaser. The magazine didn't publish any screenshots or images from the game, and they also did not reveal the game's developer, but if you're a fan of Demon Slayer, this game's coming out, so get excited. And, well, you know, to be honest with you, we're all kind of tired of the coronavirus news, but it has pretty much affected everything on planet Earth. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of the latest from this past week. Spring 2020 Precures anime will be delayed due to the coronavirus. Ghibli Museum is closed and will remain closed for a while due to coronavirus. There was a Hypnosis Mic concert that was canceled, which is a Toho Project event. They had Nico Nico. Chou Kaigi was canceled. The Disney Resort is canceled, or is closed rather. E3, which is a huge event, is canceled due to the coronavirus. And let's see, anything else? Coachella is now canceled, or I guess they say delayed due to the coronavirus. And of course, the Japanese minister in Japan, the minister Yasutoshi Nishimura, who is the Minister of Economic Revitalization, said that there would be potentially a worse recession than there was in 2008 because of the financial crisis. And the economy, they say, in Japan was already pretty much on the brink of a recession because of the ridiculous 10% sales tax that they implemented in October, up from the previous 8%. And they say that this may be on par with some of the worst financial crises that they've ever had worldwide and in Japan. So everybody just needs to be, buckle down. We're probably going into a recession, so just get ready for that. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, time to get back to the podcast. Are you looking to expand your anime collection?
Are you looking for a place you can purchase all of your anime desires?
Ooh, then check out jlist.com.
At jlist.com, you can stock up on amazing merchandise. Want more cute moe figures, nendoroids, apparel, or even cute anime-related mugs? You can find all of them there.
That's right. They even have a snack box. Every month, JList will select the newest and best Japanese snacks and send them right to your doorstep. No subscription or long-term commitment is required. Just purchase whatever box you think looks appealing, and that's all there is to it.
JList.com even has items for those naughty anime addicts. Hentai, doujins, erotic visual novels, and even anime-related toys are available for you to use on your very own, or with a very special anime-addicted loved one.
JList.com has everything an anime fan could possibly want. Just head over to their website and check it out.
JList.com, your friend in Japan since 1996.
Hi, this is Melissa Fawn, and I'm the voice of Radical Edward from Cowboy Bebop. Have you seen Fei-Fei? Fei-Fei, are you anywhere around here? Anyway, I wanted to let you know that I am an anime addict. You hear me? I am addicted to anime!
Welcome back to the podcast. Before we left you, we had an intro trivia question. Shinichiro Watanabe and Yoko Kanno have teamed up to work on what anime together? Well, it's like almost everything, but Cowboy Bebop, Terror in Residence, Kids on the Slope, Space Dandy, and if you want to count it, the Bebop movie as well. So I guess maybe the trivia question should have been more like, what haven't they worked on together? So, all right. Well, and, Yoko Kanno always gets a 5-star in my book because she is fantastic. And so with that, let's do a 5-star review for ourselves. You see, I tried my best.
It's time for iTunes review.
If you would like to leave us an iTunes review, go over to AAA Podcast and iTunes. Leave us a review, 5 stars, and we'll read it for you. And also leave us some criticisms if there are things that you would like us to improve on. This one is from Woodizzle?
Woodizzle?
H. Woodizzle.
Very well done.
Good job. Good job.
You're welcome. And they say, can't say enough great things about AAA. I have been listening to this podcast for a little over a year now. I can't express how easy it is to listen to your podcast. News, manga, review, ... rainbow flavored energy drinks.
Nice.
I wish you
That's
all
right,
the best.
goddammit.
AAA fan till the very end.
Aw,
Thank you.
Oh, shucks.
so cute. Thanks, you Woodizzle.
Thanks, Hoodizzle.
Woodizzle.
Hoodizzle.
Is the H
The H
silent?
is-
Is the H silent or not?
No, it's very important. It's
That's
capital.
what, it's capital. It's capitalized. All right. Well, now as we got the 5-star review done and cleared, we are going to move on to our second main portion of the podcast, which is our review of Carole and Tuesday. Carole and Tuesday is Shinichiro Watanabe. As you can tell, Watanabe's been popping up in the questions and stuff. He has been a renowned director, and this Carole and Tuesday is his most recent installment into the music genre. It is on Netflix, and it is done by Studio Bones. It is a drama, music, sci-fi anime, and it has a very stacked cast, but also behind the scenes is also very, very stacked with like official endorsements by Gibson, by Nord, by even things like Instagram and all those kind of things, like South by Southwest and all that. Like it's a really industry backed anime. So because of all of those things, I'm going to start off the expectations I had before passing the show, because if I recall, it was me that passed the show on episode 473 of the podcast for spring 2019. So for the people that have listened to the podcast for like Hoodizzle a little over a year now, these listeners know by now that I am someone that's very invested in the music genre of anime. The catalyst to this investment was 100% watching Beck when I was 14, and that anime literally single-handedly changing my entire life, because that's how I got into music outside of anime as well. As I watched Beck, I was like, Mom, I don't care if you don't buy me anything else for the rest of the year. I need a guitar right now. And me playing guitar changed everything. So, and on top of that, Bebop is an incredibly important anime to me. I have the swordfish as a tattoo right here. Like it's incredible. Like I love that damn anime. And so when and in the past, Watanabe, who directed Bebop, has also released shows like Kids on the Slope, which is a beautifully done music anime centering on the genre jazz. So given all of these things mixing together, that I love music outside of anime, in anime, and I love Watanabe's work, when I saw he was making a new music anime for Netflix, who have also had a great track record of anime in the last 2 years, I could not help but have expectations, unfortunately or fortunately, be in the higher range of things, especially when the teasers were released along with a website. This website had behind the scene videos of them rotoscoping. They took footage of two artists actually singing in a room playing the instruments, and then they animated on top of it, right? So that to me is money, like real money. The show had Gibson's label on it, like I mentioned before. There's a lot of money in the show, and then on top of all that money, you have Watanabe directing, and with Netflix as a studio on top of Bones being the animation studio and everything. So for me, expectations were kind of going high. I expected to see, based on trailers, a really good slice of life type of vibe. I expected to see really cool character development, and I wanted to hear really cool music. So that's what I had going in before watching Carole today. What you guys
Enzo,
got?
coming in with the initial impression that is a personal odyssey. My man.
I mean, man, it's music, bro.
I know.
I have to go hard.
Gotta go in on it. I guess I can go next. I'll be quick. Obviously, as Enzo mentioned, Watanabe and music have always been strongly linked together. Never less so than with Terror in Resonance, which was his last work in 2014. It did have a sick soundtrack, thanks to Yoko Kanno, but it was like the most distant from music that the themes of his show was based on. So I was ready for him to make a strong comeback with a clearly music-centric show. I watched the first 3 episodes to get the feel for it when it when it first started airing. I watched the first core when it released back in August of 2019. And then I waited until right before the week leading up to this review to finish it up. So my memory of the early occurrences might be a little more faded, but overall that didn't impact the plot. That's kind of what I was coming into this review with.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I have not seen Terran Resonance, so I never experienced that. But I do know that it was a Watanabe anime, so I had pretty high expectations going in. And I heard some of the music before I watched it, and it sounded really good. And I saw some people talking about it online, like this is really good, because it was a Netflix jail. So unfortunately, at that time, people could only watch it illegally.
Right.
So before we went into the impressions back when it was airing, I watched like a couple episodes just so I knew what was going on. And yeah, I had pretty high expectations, and I was excited to watch the rest. And it looked beautiful, so.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's kind of hard not to have high expectations when the anime you're about to review gets like, it's nominated as possibly anime of the year by pretty much everybody. So, I mean, how am I not going to have high expectations? I mean, I know it's a music show. Watanabe, clearly has his fingers in music, as he's put a lot of time and attention to that his whole career. Terran Resonance, I thought was kind of an awful anime, to be honest. I won't lie, but yeah, I mean, I think my expectations for Carole Tuesday were pretty high. I mean, plus it's got Netflix behind it, so they're gonna throw money at it like crazy. Yeah, I expected a lot.
Right. So, so then given all of our expectations, we're going to move into giving you guys, the listeners, a spoiler-free recommendation. So for this little section, we're not going to spoil anything really plot-heavy or crazy about the anime. We're just going to tell you guys whether we think the show's is worth watching or not. Because your time is important and you should use it wisely. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, you got 148 episodes of a certain show to get through.
Yeah, you got to watch a certain H show instead if you don't like this, we're about to say. But I truly kind of struggle with this answer. It kind of divulges down to it. To me, it depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone that I generally know appreciates the arts, can appreciate a slower, somewhat character-based organic story, then I would say yes, because what this anime for sure has is musicality. You get several genres of it. You get different tastes of musicians playing different instruments. You get different flavors of pop, which is cool to see, because pop can sound very boring, but they give you different flavors of pop. And they do give you characters that you do tend to want to cheer for. They give you some antagonists that aren't too crazy. It's like a pretty solid base level character cast, and the music is there for you to really enjoy. I think the music's pretty okay. So with that, like, if you are someone that enjoys music and has a curiosity for music, and also enjoys a like a character, a mostly character driven plot, then I think Carole Tuesday is definitely for you. If you don't necessarily care for music outside of your specific taste, and you also don't have a lot of patience for plot moving forward, then perhaps this is the one or the second Watanabe thing you don't watch. But that's really what it comes down to, is whether you want to spend time listening to different kinds of music and watching these characters go through their shit.
I guess we'll keep on going in order. Man, I'm almost disappointed how lukewarm Enzo is on this so far.
Oh, it's spoiler free.
Exactly.
I got shit to say in the spoiler section.
Here's my spoiler free recommendation. That's like asking me if I would recommend someone listening to like Adele or Taylor Swift, for example. I found this show to be shallow in depth, it challenged nothing, and there was an overwhelming lack of substance. This is a finely sharpened arrow. This show is engineered and crafted exquisitely, but it fails to hit any target worthwhile. And I feel like
Damn.
people will be like, well, I like Adele, I like Taylor Swift. Clearly, I'm in the minority here. But I feel like overall, this was so well produced that it hid the fact that the show did absolutely so little of value that I feel like most people would enjoy it, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's Yep.
I thought it was enjoyable. Like I enjoyed my time with it. I will say the second half of the anime goes in a direction that was very different from the first half. The first half deals with a lot of, if you're interested in like this futuristic world where you're combating the difference between creating music traditionally or AI. I think that's a really interesting topic. Like I mentioned that during our what was it, Megalobox review, where I was like, I am interested in this idea of doing things traditionally and combating like the progression of technology, where people are doing things to make it easier. Like where do you lose the your artistic abilities when you're depending so much on computers later on? I think that's very interesting. And I thought seeing these two girls come together through music, developing a friendship through music, is really sweet. And I liked seeing them try to combat the music industry in this their traditional style of making music. The second half does get more political, and they start dealing with issues of racism, xenophobia, greed, and we get to see some of the darker sides of the music industry in terms of like stalkers. And I thought that was interesting as well, but it is weird. The two don't blend well together, from like the mood in the first half and the mood in the second half. I mean, I think there were some hints in the first half that was coming up, but it really exploded to a way that it was very, I don't know, not off-putting, but just surprising. Like it didn't feel like it fit. So, but the music is very well done. I think it looks gorgeous. The soundtrack, I have it on iTunes. I listen to it all the time because I like the music in it. So I don't know. I don't know who I recommend it to. I would say if you love music, try it out. It might not be for you though. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird, right?
It's not for everybody.
Definitely. What's up, Mitz?
Carole Tuesday it's disappointing. And the reason for that is that this anime has arguably the best music I've ever heard in an anime. I mean, it just does. It's up there with any of the great soundtracks, Bebop, Escaflowne, just like, which is like so funny. They're both like Yoko Kanno works, but like, and it looks amazing. We're going to get to all that. However, as Mandi said, like the anime, I wish it had just stuck to being a show about like girls moving their way through the music industry and finding their way in life. And unfortunately, that doesn't. I almost feel like that's not what the anime is about. Like, because there's the second half there was so much politics in it that it was a big turnoff for me. Like, look, I don't really watch anime for politics. I know they're in there sometimes. And normally, I don't really. No, I'm not going for that. I'm not hoping that like the third season of Dr. Stone is about like some topical political issue. It's just not what I'm in there for. Politics are everywhere in our lives. If I wanted to watch, politics, I'd go watch like CNN or something. But like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm watching Carole Tuesday. So, do I recommend this? Maybe. I think if you're just like huge into the music industry, if you want to watch like an anime where there are scenes where it just like feels like you're literally watching like real professionals performing with some like unbelievably well written music with great animation and characters that are honestly really likable. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I think that you would really enjoy this, But if you're a person that's not big into music, and if you're turned off by, for lack of a better word, being force-fed politics, which is kind of what it is when you're held captive, and then you're not gonna like it, And I had people, there are people that I know that were turned off by this anime for that reason. So, it's there's a specific audience for it. I think if you're that audience, it's like you're never gonna forget this anime for your whole life. You're gonna love it so much. But if you're not that audience, you might not like it as much. And that's why I think it's disappointing, because the music side of this anime is unfreaking believable. Like, so much care was put into it, but unfortunately it kind of goes beyond that, and in a way that really I didn't think was all that necessary. So, and how I finally feel about it, we'll see. But I do think it's a show that's recommendable to the right person.
Right. So okay. So listeners, viewers on Twitch, we're now going to move into our spoiler analysis of Carole Tuesday, where we're going to just spill the beans about it all and how we actually feel. I will reveal some spicy comments. So if you're going to tune out now, tune back in when you finish it, because I got shit to say.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh
Sorry,
my god.
I must knocked over Hisoka.
That's okay. Did the dick light turn on?
No, it's on a Switch.
Gotcha.
But it was really funny though.
All right. So the first thing I want to tackle is well, I think story is like what we should tackle maybe kind of before final conclusions, because it's probably what is the dividing factor for most of the fandom. I think we can all probably agree that art animation wise, it's very, very, very well done. Like I found this anime to be beautiful, not from even though character design is kind of simplistic compared to like other anime out there, it's just done with so much care. That the clothes flow, hair is flowing, particles while people are performing are so pretty to look at. They make every moment that matters in this anime look really magical to convey the messages and the vibe and the energy that the music is trying to go forward with. But on top of that, I just think in general, I think so much care was put into every aspect of the show. All of the instruments look amazing. All of the playing of the instruments are, you can tell it's somewhat it's not CG. It's you can tell it's different. And, yes, the thing I literally said the word earlier. You can tell it's a different type of animation style when they go into the playing. But as someone who plays guitar himself, like at least when Tuesday's playing, like she's playing the correct chords that she's hitting, and even when she's finger picking, the fingers are in the right place. Like she's hitting the right strings when she's playing her instrument, and that takes a stupid level of attention to detail when trying to make a music anime, because when you finger pick, for example, on a guitar, your fingers are moving pretty generally kind of fast, and they tend to blur. People, even the naked eye, when you see someone play guitar in person, like you won't even notice half the time they're moving their fingers to pick a string. So a lot of attention to detail, I think, is at the core foundation of this show, which allowed it to look very smooth overall. Mars looks very attractive as a city. I many times I was like, shit, I would move there. Like if I could, like I would move to Mars. Like if this Mars existed, I would move there. It looks so beautiful. And I do appreciate that every single side character and even every single like background character kind of had a vibe and a style. It was very harmonious how everyone dressed on Mars, and I appreciate that from a consistency standpoint. So our animation for me was a big check, a big A+ for the anime. How did you guys feel about the art animation style of the show?
Freaking unbelievable. I mean, top level. Just
easily the. Go ahead.
I just feel like Netflix was like, "Hey, Watanabe, hey old buddy, old pal, here's a shitload of money. Enjoy."
Right.
And you made a comment about the guitar and comparatively, Carole, I play classical piano, and Carole isn't really doing anything all that complicated, but she is.
Neither is Tuesday, just for guitar perspective. Very simple chord.
Okay, yeah. So Carole is, she's playing. It's accurate. What she's playing is accurate. We're not lighting fingers on fire here on the keyboard, but she's playing the right thing. I was paying pretty close attention to that. And there are some anime where it's that are about piano and they're playing, and I'm like, that doesn't look accurate, because there's just so much extra effort was put into the way it looked. So
no, I agree that art and animation was by far the best part about this show. Moving on from the performances, the show itself, the color palette that they chose absolutely popped, and it made it so visually interesting to watch. Even just characters talking. Just level of detail in the room around them and the clothes they were wearing, it was very easy on the eyes. And even like the CG computer systems that they use either when the guy's composing the music or when Carol's
Tao.
working at like the fast food restaurant and like the menus are like zipping by. Like
Yes.
all those looked really well integrated and really helped sell the futurism of their setting. So easily the art was astounding. A couple crowd shots, sure, you could say looked a little wonky, but it was nothing that distracted from the tone or message, and it looked pretty consistent.
I also like the large variety of different types of people that we saw, whether it's body type, and I want to say the LGBTQ plus representation in this anime is fantastic. So well done. There are so many different types of people, and that's what I wish that we would get in a lot of anime. And I like Mason said also the gadgets that we see, like the futuristic items that we see in this world are so cool looking, like from like a little robotic owl is adorable, and I want one. There are so many really cool little things in there that make you think this is it still feels like we are in like a futuristic version of New York, but it's definitely a different planet. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I personally, the gadget that interested me the most was personally the umbrella that has a light as a
the lightsaber one. But she was the only one who had it. No one else had it.
No, I also thought so, but there was a businessman walking on that same bridge with the same.
He's
umbrella.
a loser.
Damn.
He's not allowed to have the thing that marks their main character in an overhead shot that's populated.
Oh my god! I'm cool. I'm glad that we all agree that the animation and art doesn't really leave too much to be desired. It kind of does the thing, considering the amount of budget, like Mitsuki pointed out, is probably gigantic on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And then with animation comes the music, as we kind of were touching on before, and Mitsuki really touched on his impression on his spoiler-free section. The music is not something that I personally would listen to all the time. In terms of genres, they kind of went very vanilla with the options they chose, aside from the Fire Brothers or whatever, those two old guys that were trying to go for like the heavy metal stuff.
While you're talking, I just want to preemptively say I'm going to ask people what their favorite performer was.
Oh, for sure.
At the end, but
do that.
Continue.
Yeah. In terms of genre selection, it was very vanilla, but I understand that because they and even within the vanilla-ish genres, they did explore a little bit. They had like this one performer, GGK. I like that kind of music. It's very Janae Aiko-esque if you listen to Janae Aiko at all. It's a very dreamy pop, dreamy R&B type stuff. Sorry, this beer has me a little gassy over here. I gotta burp a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But so genre-wise, I wish there was a lot more weird stuff. Just personally, as someone who listens to a little things, me and Mason, I think, probably listen to a lot of things that are like outside of like the normal shit.
I've had to go for so many podcasts like Hobby Addicts, like, oh, I want to talk music with someone, but I don't. I listen to weird shit.
But
sorry, we're not hipster enough.
I got you, baby. I got you.
92, baby. Deal with it.
92. But in terms of execution of the music they did right, it is superior to so much music out there in music anime. Every single song, although it is a genre I wouldn't play on my own, I enjoyed thoroughly. You can hear the meticulous care that went into each instrumental. They chose vocalists that were really cool. They brought people in like Thundercat to play one of the basses on the show. I love Thundercat in general outside of the anime. I thought that was really cool. And in terms of music industry, I think it was interesting that in a futuristic society they still had like agents and stuff doing like the good old like agents meeting up with like record labels type situations going on. It was kind of grounding to like the futurism of the show, of the industry in itself, considering there's AI and everything that makes music. So music wise, it's another big A+ for me because execution was so supreme that even though it's not my cup of tea, I have to respect it as a musician myself. You know what I mean? So big check plus for me as well.
Yeah, I don't think the music in this was really what I would listen to personally either, but it's more of the effort. I could tell if some of the songs were really catchy and they're not really genres I would listen to, and I'm like, well, I mean, you kind of have to respect it.
So my favorite was Angela's songs. I love
For
the mountain
Yeah.
song.
Moving Mountains, yes.
But Mermaid Sisters is my soul.
The doo-wop, the acapella.
I sing that
Yes.
to work to
On the
prepare
daily.
myself.
Bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Yes, that is my soul.
it.
It's
I love
they
it.
were singing to me and
Mhm.
spoke to me.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. It's fucking bullshit. Yes.
Yeah, everything
Yes.
is fucking bullshit. I'm trying to get toilet paper. This is fucking bullshit.
It's fucking
I'm
bullshit.
about to go on that adventure in a couple hours here. I'm just gonna use.
Yeah,
the,
and I bet you're gonna be singing the song.
I'm just gonna use the thumb.
Gotta go at the beginning of the day, my dude.
Mm.
No, I normally order all that shit on Amazon. Anyway, side tangent.
You
Yeah,
can wash your hands to it. Thank you, the real mop.
yeah, it's 20 seconds.
Twitch chat is funny today. Twitch chat is funny today. I love it.
Or the real moth hop.
The moth hop. What you got, Mason, for the music?
Yeah, so I had two, like, I split up my like thoughts on music in the show. Like, half of it was like, oh, how did I think the industry worked and like the practicality of their rise through the thing, and half of it was like the songs themselves. How did those sound? And obviously, I'm in the same boat. I think this is not my preferred style of music, and it's very vanilla. It is called bubblegum pop because it has not much flavor to it, and you're meant to spit it out after a couple things. Like when you can get an entire gist of a show in a 30-minute or 30-second clip, like you got it. There's not much substance. But I do give the show props for giving the show the time to have 2-minute, 3-minute long performances and just commit to having that. It was kind of like a bad version of Rakugo Shinju, where they, I don't think it excelled as spectacularly, but it did give you, like, here's what's on the stage and present it and stick to it. So I like that. I like how in the Grammy performances, Angela and Carole Tuesday kind of switched roles, when they kind of, one was on the upswing, one was down, and all like the Angela songs before were like, oh, you're so empowered, you can do it, and her song was like way depressive. Then Carole and Tuesday were like, they're the ones singing about fire and being a light for the world. Obviously I thought the best performer was it GKK?
GGK, baby.
GGK.
Yeah,
She was, I was like, I want more of her. She was fantastic.
Yes, I loved her shit.
The biggest like single moment of like production issue that I thought was kind of weird was episode 13. Angela finally gets a big budget. She finally signs this massive record deal. She's like, here we go, baby, new single. And she premieres it for everyone. And it has by far the worst production out of all the songs that she had put out until that point. Like the bass sounded like a bunch of eels like farting in a glass cup. Like it was like abysmal. And it's like, wait, what? How did that sound so much worse than what was there before? I guess my big thing that I want to talk about, and I actually did not have a problem with this, but having the show clearly had different voice actors to do the vocal performances.
Absolutely.
And I did not find that to be a bother because they were showing like, look, we clearly want the music that we perform to be the best that it can be. And to do that, we're going to have not a voice actor, but a dedicated singer to do this portion. And there could be a little bit of whiplash between a character who doesn't sound anything like they sing.
Piotr.
Yeah, the dancing Bieber.
I cracked up every
and then it's
time.
a low masculine voice when he starts singing. And you're like, whoa, this is, even if he was thrown, like, this doesn't work, but their commitment to having the best music they could, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't know if you guys had any similar opinions.
Mamoru Miona did a fantastic job as Erdogan. He was so good. I don't know how many times, but every time he screamed Rhodey, it was priceless.
Dude, I didn't even realize.
He got so many lines in this where I was like, that was perfect, Mamoru Miona. I don't even know how he achieved that voice.
That makes so much sense.
That sound with his voice. It's great.
I listened to it.
I had no idea.
I listened to it dubbed on Netflix. It was the only way I could get through it in a week. And boy, they did a great job. I mean, the voice, the English. Am I the only one that listened to the dub?
Maybe. I definitely watched the Japanese one.
Netflix crushed it. I mean, they sounded great. I thought they sounded great.
That's awesome to hear.
I
Actually.
mean, yeah, it's just like their voices are so nice to listen to. I don't know how else to put it.
That's awesome to hear. Literally.
Literally.
Can we also give props to Rhodey for being the MVP of the show?
Oh, right, yes. Rhodey is
Oh
the
my
best.
goodness.
Hero, the
Rhodey-
producer of all producers, bro.
Well, not the producer of all producers, but he's up there.
He's up there. You're right. You're right. Tao still does it, even though he's AI boy.
Who is Komodo or Hiroshi Kamiya, who plays Tao.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now that we've gotten our big check pluses out of the way, I'm sure this is where we're gonna get a little spicy. The story. Okay, so story. In the story, I think the characters for me are probably the better aspects of the encompassing story because, I think they all look great. They're designed well. They have personalities that I think are very believable, believe it or not. Even Artigan to me is a believable guy.
I liked him.
But I think and it's funny because I think this show, oddly, we write shows off as being like, oh man, this is only 13 episodes. It could have used a couple more. Weirdly enough, I feel like Carole Tuesday, I kind of wish it wasn't 24 episodes long. I kind of wish it was shorter because, like Mandi really aptly pointed out, I think where the show kind of started to lose me was where we went from first half focusing on the rise of these two women as musicians, right? And also their budding friendship because they just got to know each other. Like they just met and they're already, they went viral on this video and they have attention and they're going through this tournament. They went through a tournament arc, literally.
They did. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I skipped most of it.
Oh,
that was my favorite part.
It's just a fucking waste of time.
I think that was the best part of the show too. But yeah. So the first half had all this like centered around Carole and Tuesday and their musical development, their relationship development, their industry development, their rise to fame. And to me, that was all very relative to what the show kind of like set out to do based on like what the teasers were and everything. So the first half I enjoyed a lot. It is in the second half, the second stretch of like of episodes up until episode 24, where I think there was too much. They didn't set up enough substance regarding Carole Tuesday's rise to fame, unfortunately, where they started to tie in a lot of political motives and a lot of other characters that took a lot of agency away from Carole Tuesday. And it's not that like, I think this show, like what it tried to do in theory would have been really cool had they executed better. I think, in stealing a word from Mason's earlier spoiler for recommendation, I think a lot of these story beats kind of fall shallow and flat. I kind of didn't care about the politicalness of the show, like the entire like immigration agenda. And this is coming from someone who's the son of two immigrants. Like I was like, damn, I really don't want to listen to this immigrant agenda. I don't want to listen to this like weak political story with Tuesday's mother. I don't really care enough in this second half of the show. I also didn't even really care that much, unfortunately, about Carole's like father situation, which sucks because I love Carole. I think she's my favorite part of the show.
It's fine that you didn't care about that because none of that got addressed.
Well, they addressed it in like they like soft addressed it, they like soft addressed it in a roundabout way. But it sucked because I think the first half if the first half was all set up, then I don't see where the spike came from in the second half. Like to use a volleyball analogy, if the first half was a set from your setter, I don't really know where the spike was on all of the first half in the second half. I think the last episode of the season was very strong. I love the collaboration between all the artists they had met on their journey so far. I think it capped really high. I think the show in general had a lot of highs, but the lulls are way too low. And I found myself sometimes fast forwarding through episodes, which I never do. Like I never do that.
Yeah.
And given my expectations of the show, each fast forward kind of hurt to do because it was defined within disappointment and not boredom. I wasn't bored per se. I was kind of disappointed with what the show was doing with the story.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I was left when the show ended. I was like, I definitely 1,000,000% appreciate the existence of this show. I appreciate the artistry of this show in all aspects, but writing wise, they didn't. And I harp on this all the time. Writing wise, they didn't set up stakes that I care about enough, and the stakes they did set up, they kind of executed softly, with no real period or message to say, like what Mason said earlier. So yeah, so unfortunately the story for me is kind of a half a check mark, and that's really it. What do you guys have to say about the story?
You and I are pretty similar. I mean, I've seen all of Watanabe's shows except Kids on the Slope. So I can't speak to that exactly, but I have come to sort of accept the fact that Watanabe is, people are going to bitch probably, but I just don't think he's a great storyteller. I just don't. Cowboy Bebop, great show. I gave it a 4.5 on this podcast a long time ago. I think the story is about 3 episodes long. This show, there's a whole episode where Carol's mother, this is spoilers, right? Carol's mother comes in and takes her back to her house, and it's okay, that whole plot line got dropped basically.
Right.
Then there's Carol's father shows up at the laundromat very freaking conveniently, and then he just disappears, and that doesn't really go anywhere. Then Angela's mother dies, and she just happens to wake up and then says some nice things and then just dies. It's it was almost like that one Star Wars movie where I can't remember, someone shows up and finds their mother, and then right at that moment she happens to die. It's and the music contest, it just felt, I thought they were going to go in a direction of here's someone's rise to fame from the humble perspective, and then here's another girl's rise to fame, Angela, from a perspective of having a lot of advantages. And then in the end they end up in the same contest. I'm well, you just pissed that away. And the contest, unbelievably, I skipped it because I knew how it was going to end, and I literally guessed the outcome of every single contest because it was obvious from the beginning. And then they throw all this political crap at you, and I'm already turned off by it, and I'm well, you didn't really set it up, and then you didn't really hammer it home. I didn't give one small fuck about her mother at any point. And if you take her out of the show, it's the same show. It's the same show. And then it's her mother stepped down from politics as if I'm supposed to give a damn. And it's okay, great. She decided to step out of the race. I don't care. What was the point of that? And in the end, I think it was just Watanabe wanted to make a message. And that's not why I'm watching his show. So for as good as the music was in this anime, I thought the story was equally bad on the opposite polar end. And, I kept thinking about Beck and how much better Beck did it story-wise. So
yeah, and that's saying something because Beck definitely pushes its lulls as well, but I do think Beck executed better too.
Yeah, and it's it was just a big disappointment in story, and the story is the issue.
So I don't think it came completely out of nowhere. We do see hints early on with scenes of Tuesday's mother giving speeches, but I do agree that it felt like a very, very quick switch that is very can be very off-putting. But it's clear that he Watanabe definitely wanted to make a comment on especially current events in America, and I appreciate that. Personally, I appreciate that he really wanted to say something about it, because I feel like there are a lot of people who turn off the news, but when you are able to portray a message with music, especially this music, media, books, you're able to get, when you put all of your thoughts into it, your pain and how when it's a more personalized message, I feel like it's easier to get that message across to people how important this issue is. And there are a lot of people, especially younger people, who look at it and be like, you know what, I understand this is a really important issue and maybe I should pay more attention. Where the news, a lot of people shut the news off. They don't. You're not really able to get emotions out of the news. But I don't know. I appreciate it. It was just a really weird switch. But I do like a lot of the other things that we get in there, like the stalker with Angela, the dangers of being in the music industry. You get a little bit of like the how isolated you feel when you're a big pop star with Flora. I don't know. There were other little things in there I thought were interesting. It's just, I feel like maybe he tried to do too much all at once.
Yeah.
And 24 episodes, even 24 wasn't enough to get all of this together.
So I liked the quote unquote dangers of the music industry with the depression, the doubt you face.
Yeah.
You're living up to a crowd, drugs, stalkers, which I kind of teased in the first part with the fan who was also competing. Yes. I liked all that. Yes, the impracticality of the music industry, how quick the rise is, how they, they won this contest but didn't even accept it. So what was the point? All that I could overlook. I think the two things with the show is the plot was a constant rescoping of what I expected, and it always failed to deliver. Like, it started off a show about getting into the industry. I was like, okay, I'm in for that. And then it became, actually, it's a show about like the adaptation of artificial intelligence and how the scope of music of, computer help versus quote unquote authentic music. How do those compare? I'm like, oh, now this is something I'm on board for, because, this could be an interesting dialogue. You get the Mars future, you get a lot at play. What does it mean to be a musician? All that is interesting. And then it devolved, as we've often said, to this, what we are, I guess, calling the politics arc. And that just didn't serve to help any of what I thought the show was going to be about before. Like, the political subplot really only helped serve like the Ezekiel rap song, but that was about it. And I thought at one point it was going to say, when the world is like turbulent and it's like, feels like it's very negative, and I feel like we can all associate with that right now. Like, humans by themselves, by individuals, are pretty useless. We can't do much. I mean, you have these worldly influences that are just pushing down on society. What am I going to do about? What are you going to do about it? And I thought the theme was going to be like, music can remain as a sort of like inspiration, a place of positivity. And kind of, I like this like inner circle. One of my favorite things that the show actually did was like the inspiration between artists, where this person was like, oh, I've always listened to your stuff and that inspired me to write this, and I'm inspiring this person is inspired, and get the circular flow of good vibes. But then that message just got blown a little bit out of proportion with this huge like We Are the World 7-minute miracle, which I did not think that it needed to spend a minute of every single episode hyping up at the very beginning. For very fittingly, though, they performed that big thing in front of an empty arena for the coronavirus, so I thought that was timely. But even like this political art, there wasn't like much to it. Like, there was no savagery to it. This like suppression with like bombing, police brutality, political corruption, none of that was really addressed. Like, you have the SWAT police coming in, but they don't do anything. The police will lock people up, but then they'll shoot their music video. So I guess they're also a good guy. I mean,
yeah, that was really weird. I
thought that was weird as fuck.
You've got Valerie, this person who's on a campaign, who at the end offers no recollection with Tuesday. Are we just supposed to forgive her periods of hate speech propaganda that stirred the masses up into like this ignorant, like planetary equivalence of xenophobia? Like, all of that is just like, actually, she didn't mean it, so it's okay. Like, no, it's not. And
it was soft redemption. Soft.
It is. The show is so visually and sonically well done, but its writing has been overly convenient, where they're like, hey, we need to record an album, we need to find some street performers. They just go outside and drag them back in. They release one song and they've top of the charts. Now they're like, there was just such a breeze, and I would have accepted that if it was telling a epic story where we needed the characters to move from point A to point B, and it only had a short time to get them there. Then it's fine. But when you have all these episodes, but nothing strings together or connect in any meaningful way, it was just, what are we doing with all this visual, perfection? Not much.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that they asked the prison ward to film his music video.
Yeah, they got like 3 of them. They got
like
like all these great
3
angles. Like they were
I
going in on it.
completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
Because
I was
I
like,
watched this when it was
"What?"
airing, so
So,
weird. I forgot about that.
I guess I do want to transition just to a little something positive though, is and Enzo kind of brought this up, but the characters themselves I thought were for the most part well done. I watched the first half of the series 6 months ago, and when a lot of these characters came back in the callbacks at the very end, I remembered pretty much all of them. Like
Mhm.
they were solid. I was like, oh, I remember what that person, what their vibe was, what their song was, what they kind of acted like, and I can dig that. I thought Carole and Tuesday, both as main characters, were just absolutely precious. And they
Yes.
were overly perfect the whole time, but I didn't mind. Carole meeting her dad, it played out a little cartoonishly at first with, hey, we're your family, we're your mom and dad. The other family comes at the same time, hey, we're your mom and dad. But the actual meeting could have been a little overblown and sappy and melodramatic, but it was pretty well done. Honestly, if the show was just called Angela and not Carole and Tuesday, I might have liked it a little bit more. And Catherine, that judgy judge, the one with like
A vibe.
the snooty attitude, I was
Oh,
just
the best.
I was just picturing that Facebook meme where I'm like, I'm in this picture and I don't like it. Please delete.
I love her style though. I think that she looks. I love her character art so much.
Absolutely. So the characters, I thought, well, I didn't quote unquote connect them. I felt like I understood them in the short time that they were. And like we said, Roddy, Ertegum, even Gus with his stupid management decisions, they were all lively.
For sure.
So for the show, in my mind, to fail with all these successes is a testament for how incredulous I felt with the plot.
Yeah.
And that's enough of me rambling.
Do you want to transition to your final score, or do you want to wait until I go last?
We're going pretty long here.
Yeah, we do have to conclude. I can go first, I guess. This is really hard for me because a lot of people look to the podcast and they always bring up music anime to me. Even when I was on my hiatus, people did, DM me and stuff and wanted to talk about music recommendations and stuff and music anime recommendations as well. So this is going to be a very classic kind of scoring method for me where I kind of break it down to a couple categories, 3 of which are animation, music, and story. Final thoughts on Carole Tuesday are that it's a prime example of how much you can get out of a solid production of a show. When the art is really good and the music is really good, when you watch a show like Carole Tuesday, when those 2 things are super good, you will look back on other anime you've seen and you will realize how much more they could have been had they had the opportunity to have access to a budget like Carole Tuesday. Like, that's how good I think the production value is on this show. When I watch Carole Tuesday, I'm like, fuck, man, if only Beck had this money behind it, how crazy would that have been? Like, how crazy would that have been? Because they execute so well on production on the show. There's no need to harp on story for me any longer. I think Mason covered pretty much everything else I could have said really well too. But yeah, so like story is so much of a down for me that it's taking away a lot of points of my score. I'm gonna give it a kind of like so not expected a 3.5 out of 5. I really wanted to give this a 4, but I don't fast forward through. Like, I just don't do that, and I had to take that into consideration. I genuinely felt that way. So a 3.5 out of 5, which is a 7 out of 10, is what I'm going to give this show.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I was never bored with it. I watched every episode, and I enjoyed my time with it. I agree there were some parts that were very cheesy. Like, I completely forgot about that. There was a word shooting his video. That was weird. Now, when you pointed that out, I was like, oh, fuck, I completely forgot how, like, I laughed at it. Like, this is so dumb. But, yeah, I love the characters. I think Carole and Tuesday are just so adorable. And I like the idea of them coming together through music. I like some of the ideas in there of, like, traditional music versus, this futuristic AI created music, and how are they able to stack up. I like the some of the little bits in there of like the dangers of being in the music industry. The LGBTQ plus is fantastic. When they had Gus meet his ex-wife and she brings in her new wife, he's like, hey, what, I hope you find happiness this time. And I thought that was so fantastic. I was like, God, I wish more anime were like this. But yeah, no, I appreciate that he was trying to say something. It's just the politics in the second half didn't come out as well as it could have, I think. But it feels like, I don't know, maybe it felt like it kind of rushed it a bit. But I and of course it looks fantastic and the music's great. I enjoyed it enough to give it, I think I would give it 3.5 AI owls out of 5.
Nice. Mitz Mason.
Who wants to go first?
I like I said, I thought this anime was a little disappointing. It has such high points in it, and then it has like points that are so low. And we've already talked about all that. But ultimately, like, I'm the guy that will go watch like Future Boy Conan because I don't really give a shit how it looks, to be honest. And I don't think anime is about how it looks. And so you just throw the animation out. It's not that important to me. Ultimately, I think that the characters in the show are really good. I really like a lot of them. I liked Erdogan a lot. I thought he was pretty funny. And the music in the show, while not necessarily my taste, I thought that it was well done. And but the story is just a disaster, like borderline. It just is a disaster. And then all the political stuff, I'm like, why is that in here? It didn't fit. Like, maybe Watanabe just felt like he had to have his like say about, current events. But again, that's not why I'm watching anime, So, I just feel very annoyed. I just feel annoyed. I'm gonna bury it. I'm gonna give it 2.5. It's just so sad. It's so sad. Like, there's things about this anime that are like a flat out 5, and then like the story is just, it's like whatever. And honestly, I don't understand the whole like AI versus real music. Like, I'm not aware that AI music is like a current issue today, or maybe it's
really
about,
with Hatsune Miku out.
I mean, a human being.
This has been in a debate for a while.
I mean, a human being still creating it. I mean, did I miss something? Is there like an AI
in the show? I think in the show it is literally like an AI makes everything.
Yeah,
that's yeah,
everything.
Maybe I really am like living under a rock. Is that a thing? Does that exist?
Not to that degree yet.
Okay, so I don't know. I didn't really get the message. Maybe it's about like human emotion or something in the music. But
there are AIs programs now that are making art. They're making, generating music. I just talked about this a couple weeks ago.
The Tezuka.
I just talked about that like last week. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy advancements in AI.
It's the start of it, and it's really the only. Never mind. Go ahead.
But boy, Watanabe, he sure loves Mars a lot. He loves it. He loves Mars. He'd move there if he could, I think. But like, yeah, the show's, boy, so good. But like, whatever. I already said it all, and I just feel sad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they did Mars just to have all these like very obvious like references to people, be like, clearly it's not the same person. It's on Mars. It can't be the same person, Yeah, Carole Tuesday.
Are you struggling?
I am struggling.
Uh-oh.
My scores have changed a bunch on this one, and I don't know how much of that is just thinking about, how little there was to bite into, and how much of it is just like, overall, I've heard a lot of good things about the show. A lot of people tend to be digging it. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to go into all our listener comments, but they wrote a lot, most of them saying, hey, I really enjoyed it. This was a fun time. It might not have been the most deep thing, but it was a nice, easy watch, and it was enjoyable.
I was going to say, we usually get huge turnouts for shonen. This is the first time that I've had such a huge turnout for something that was not a Shonen Jump anime. We had a lot of votes, a lot of comments. Yeah.
Yeah, and we appreciate them. And next, I swear one day we'll read them, but we do read them all in the show notes, and we do appreciate it. But so I don't know how much of this is just like the counter reaction to when something gets a lot of praise. You're like, well, no, it's not good, guys. Open your eyes. I didn't enjoy it. Why can you enjoy it? But this is my opinion.
The true Mason struggle.
Yeah.
The Mason struggle.
At the end of the day, there was not enough there. And like Mid said, there were so many good things, but it failed where it needed to succeed. And so I'm going to, in honor of Mars being the second planet from the sun, I'm going to give the show 2.0 fantastic shits out of 5. It looked mostly good. It was produced really well. But past the layer of polish that it had, the show was fucking bullshit and a waste of my time.
Wow.
That's a quote from the show.
Well, the listeners scored it a 4, average.
Average 4? Average? On average? Listeners, y'all have a big heart. And I love you for that. Okay. I think that does it.
This did not go how I thought it was gonna go.
Neither did I. I thought we were gonna average like 3.5, but we're averaging lower, right? For sure.
Yeah.
We got to use the Mason curve.
It's a new era, baby.
Oh yeah, we have to use the Mason curve. So
yeah.
Sure. We'll get back to y'all on that. But guys, it felt so good to record with you guys again. It's been like half a year, which is crazy. But
yay, Enzo's back.
Thanks so much for being here with us today on Twitch. Thanks so much for listening here with us on the Thursdays when this episode comes out. We went a little long today, but fuck it. I'm back. I say it's okay. This has been the 515th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. You can find us on Twitter. We all has it. I'm at Enzo Badia on Twitter. Mandi, what you got? Mason, what you got? Miss, what you got?
AAA_Mandi with an I on Twitter. I talk about ferrets and games and nerdy shit. And Hunter.
I'm at Pope Mitsugi, and I don't know. These days, all I'm looking at is cryptocurrency and how much I hate it. So, pretty much that's about it.
I don't have a Twitter, but come to Monday's Twitch stream. Mandi and I are playing World of Horror, and I've been excited to watch you play this for a long time. I've been low-key like, hey, you should play it on stream so I can watch you play it, because this is going to be a whole lot of fun. So check us out on Twitch.
Yep. So thanks so much for joining us. This is 515 on the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. We are dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. I am so happy to be back. I love you guys so much. Thanks for keeping me company on my time away. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Love you guys.